Yeah. What's up, everyone? My name's Damon, and you don't fuck around the law. Yeah. I'm the general manager of No Holds Barred Radio, and I'm the law. Welcome to a special edition of the show I'm stealing from Kevin Reeves, since he's not doing it anymore. This is Bitch Fest Radio. It's a one-off, possibly, most likely. But I this is my station, and I can get on and bitch whenever the fuck I want. So, because to be honest with you, I've just about had enough of some of the shit that's going on here. You know, it's ridiculous. If any of you are on the NHB staff list, which might be half of you, I'm sorry, not the staff list, the discussion list, then you'll know, you might be aware of what's about to happen. For those of you who aren't real fans of this network, you'll be made aware in short order. So, you know, since we don't have a Dune and Bob show and Rice Aroni U is not on the air and Kevin's doing Tuesdays now, and I've been trying to enjoy my weekend, folks, because tomorrow is new product release day. My life's going to turn into hell on the phones at my job. So I'm sitting here, you know, I've been trying to enjoy my last weekend of freedom for a little while, you know? And got the girlfriend around, and I'm checking my email and just getting thoroughly annoyed at a number of things. And there's a lot of stuff going on personally that I don't get to bitch about my personal life much. Not that many of you care, but I don't care. So, but the stupidity on the discussion list has just gotten to a level that I can't take anymore. We're going to take this on the air. Jesus. So, I mean, outside of the fact that we are 3 days away, or 2 days away, really, from the country going down the shitter. No matter who you vote for, it's going down the shitter, folks. Okay? I just want you to be aware. We're fucked no matter what. It's a matter of who's going to fuck us less. You know? And some people seem to think Obama's going to do it, but I just don't think so. And I challenge you guys last Wednesday on the NHB radio show to convince me otherwise. Nobody could. But more importantly, and more closer to home, something that we can control is this little drama going on between the NHB diehards and the Stickcam people. And I know I probably made a mistake turning on the Stickcam chat room, but it's apparently the way to get people in here since I question some loyalty. So I want to talk to the Stickcam users. Okay? Forge is telling me just don't let this time slot get habit forming. The United States of America. We may take a couple of flushes, or Comerica, but we're going down soon. Something like that. I can't understand his message. So anyway, folks, 877-642-5483 is our phone number. NHB Live through AOL and Skype. Contact at NHBRadio.com through Yahoo. And if you're in Stickcam, I'm blind. I can't use it. If you want to talk to me, you're going to have to use those messengers. Okay? I know that may be alien to some of you. Okay? And I want to kick off the show by addressing this issue because we're having some identity problems here on this radio station. And a lot of the Stickcam users who are exclusive to Stickcam don't seem to understand the way things operate either. And I know probably not a whole lot of you are in the room right now because this is an unscheduled show. And if you were on our fucking mailing list, you would know. So, let's see what we got here. According to Kenny Reddingen, identity issues can be traced back to the birth of RSU. Kenny, if you're not going to be fucking serious, don't even write me. I'm in no mood, and I'm just waiting for the right person to come along to push the right button, and you're going to see nuclear, mushroom clouds sprouting from New Jersey. I'm in no mood for bullshit right now. Okay? Not that any of you care. This is where some of the stupider ones will start pushing my buttons on purpose. So I want to understand right now. I don't know how many are in Stickam, but I want to know how many of you, of the people who are in Stickam, actually go beyond the Stickam room and visit the website and look at the stuff we have there and go to the chat room and are on the mailing lists and listen to the other shows, or are you just Stickam devotees? I really would like to know that. Okay? Rye, I'm not even reading that. All right, so there's 15 in Stickam. All right, I want 15 messages, and not in the Stickam window. Okay? Actually, leave that window for a moment. You can Alt-Tab or do whatever you mouse users do, and write me a message if you can, or pass it to someone who can. I really want to understand this Stickam thing, because we've been having an issue here on NHB back before we actually broadcasted on Stickam, where we had over 200 listeners on the main show and 80, 90, 100, 120, 150 on the other shows. Automation pulled in 50, 60, 70, 100. I bet half of you in the Stickam don't even know there is an automation. So I'm trying to understand this because I'm totally blind. Stickam has nothing for me, okay? There are people who listen to our shows on podcast. They don't go to Stickam. There are people who want to listen to this show through our website, which is nhbradio.com, who don't want anything to do with Stickam. The purpose of Stickam has always been to broadcast our video. We got a bonus with a stream that doesn't have the problem of a Shoutcast stream of a 45-second latency or more, okay? That was it. That was all Stickam was meant to be. Then suddenly people discovered user cams in a chat room, and it has turned this station upside fucking down. I've got some of my staff who are so completely fucking backwards in their thinking, you know. Now, folks, I've studied radio. I have a bachelor's degree in communication, okay? I have put 9.5 years this January into this station to build a listener base, to build a fan base. Okay? I think I know what the fuck I'm doing. And I have staff who question my knowledge and question my who question everything I'm doing here, who I want to drag from their home by their short hairs and pound their skulls repeatedly into the pavement by now. Meg writing in, I used to be a part of the mailing list, but it was a flood on random? I don't even know what the hell. A flood on random what? Well, I appreciate that we're getting a ton of messages. I went down the list, and tonight you appear to be preaching to the choir. Well, great. Oh, it was a flood on random messages. I get it. Meg, can you do me a favor, sweetheart? And can you write me on the NHB name, please? And not on this one, because it's harder to read this one. I used to be a part of the mailing list, but it was a flood on random messages. So then once NHB Army added the mailing list feature, I checked that every once in a while, and I stopped listening to automation once I've heard everything on there twice. All right, well, that's fine. You know, I'm not worried so much about automation. Automation is an issue that we're working on. Okay? I can't even pronounce this guy's name. Honestly, the only reason that I use Stickam is the lack of delay. I think that's why most people use Stickam. But if I turned off the chat room, okay? If I turned off the chat room, now it seems from what Forge is telling me that I'm basically preaching to the choir here, which means I may bring this up again on Wednesday. But I don't understand the nonsense that's going on here. If any of you are on the NHB discussion list, you'll know some of it. Insomniac Jazz writing in, I found the station on iTunes, listened to Stickam, am on the mailing list, and use the chat.nhbradio.com chat sometimes. I use Stickam a lot, but far from exclusively. I really want to know what the appeal is of this chat room versus our own. Our own that blind people can use. Another name I can't pronounce. I use Stickam once in a while, and it lags. Oh, but it lags a lot. Peener Slayer writing in, I use Stickcam, the messengers, the site, the mailing list, streams, and every other fucking NHB thing. Do I count? Yes, dear, you count. Stickcam is great for the lack of lag. There really is no need for the chat room. However, I agree, but some of our staff don't seem to agree. Personally, they can get their own fucking chat room, their own fucking thing, and get off my station if that's how they feel. Sam's writing in, I'm on Stickcam, but I run the stream in case Stickcam starts to get choppy, which it likes to do. I'm on the talk list and download the podcasts and the shows I miss because of the time difference. See, these are people that I think are fans, okay? Dynamic here. I spend most time in Stickcam. I spend most times on the streams at work listening to HSS and Hot Summer Sheep and Shadows of Doubt, as well as the automation. I also use the NHB Ventrilo channel. The reason I mostly use Stickcam is because the streams are so far behind by delay, while Stickcam is only a couple seconds behind. All right, that's fine. Okay, listen, let me stop this before it gets out of hand. I'm not questioning whether you guys sit in Stickcam, okay? Stickcam, like I said, the main idea behind the Stickcam chat room, okay, was we needed a place. Back in the day, some of you may not know this, some of you were here. Back in the day, we had a webcam. We posted still pictures to the website every 30 seconds. Okay? I was never happy with this arrangement. Okay? It was an arrangement. It was all we had at the time. But to me, there were so many things that the camera missed. We're a radio station. I'm not trying to do NHB TV, but there are some times when a video is nice. The Mr. Wonderful segment that's in automation that I don't even know if it runs anymore. Would have been so much funnier if you all could have actually seen what was going on instead of having to do contrived web shots for the website. It would have been so much funnier. Not that the bit isn't funny, okay? But it would have been better. Things like that where you can add a visual element to the bit are great. What some people, I think, are missing is that we're not a TV station. We were never meant to be a TV station. Personally, for me, I feel squeezed out of my own station and have been feeling squeezed out of my own station. The station I started, the station that I brought everybody onto, and I'm being squeezed out of my own station because they'd rather cater to the Stickcam listeners. The Stickcam listeners that don't go to the website and that don't check out nhbradio.com and all the other things that we are not NHB fans, in my opinion. If we were to try and build... If we were actually trying in a real-world scenario to get advertisers to pay for station costs, which we don't have the numbers to do anyway, but even back when we had 200 listeners, we may have had those numbers. If they're not coming to our site, it doesn't count in most people's minds, in most ad places' minds. You know, they need to go to yours. I mean, we're basic. If anyone knows anything about branding, okay, NHB is a brand. No Holds Barred Radio Network, it's a brand, okay? And all the shows and everything that go on this network, you know, are branded under the NHB name, okay? Stickcam was an avenue for us to broadcast our video, and we lucked out with a low latency stream. The idea was to draw people who really, I didn't think that Stickcam had this big deal community. It was a place to broadcast our video. That's it. It took a load off the server. It was a third-party source to broadcast our video. We benefited from the fact that we gained some of their crowd. But people have gotten their heads up their ass lately with this thing over the last year and a half, 2 years, okay? And everyone's lost sight of what the original intent was for this thing, to broadcast our video, and we got a low latency stream. Everyone got sucked into Stickcam's environment, and now I'm supposed to take the thing that I put 10 years of my life into, the site, the streams, everything that's NHB branded, and make it secondary to a third-party website that was meant only to broadcast our camera to. This is why I'm becoming extremely pissed towards some members of the staff who haven't been here and don't fucking get it. I'm supposed to kowtow to them because they're looking at numbers and they're missing the bigger picture. If you guys remember, long-time listeners from a few years ago, I had an argument with Mark the DJ, the guy who went and started DEF CON Radio, and he had stand-up comedy for their automation, and we're going on about how great of a model this was. I was right. And it was never acknowledged that I was right, because DEF CON Radio, as it was 2 years ago, doesn't exist anymore. They never built a listener base. Their listeners didn't give a shit about their live content and barely gave a shit if their stand-up content was there because you had K-Ha-Ha and various other channels that broadcasted stand-up content. NHB was built from the ground up on our bits, our material, our personalities, our shows. We built a family around this station, and it's a bit too tight-knit sometimes, and sometimes outsiders are pushed out. I admit to that. But the listeners who are here because they want to be a part of this station. We earned $8,000 in 36 hours back in September. DEF CON Radio couldn't pull that off. They had 450 listeners to their stand-up automation. When their live shows went on, they dumped down to 125, 130, just where NHB's numbers were. And they tried claiming they were better. And I had this argument with Mark the DJ several times, and there was a little war that went on between DEF CON and NHB. And granted, DEF CON, I think, is now still around this comedy pipe. I don't know if they're doing original shows anymore. I don't know what their numbers are. The landscape of internet radio has changed over the last couple years. We're listed on iTunes. I don't even know where we stand on a lot of these things anymore because I've lost track, you know? But Stickcam is now everyone's new hot button. It's either the greatest thing since sliced bread or it's a curse. To be honest with you, I think Stickcam has become a rope around our neck. In a lot of ways. It's filled a hole that we needed, but at the expense of losing the NHB identity. And in a lot of ways, from what I've been told by a bunch of people, we've lost a bunch of listeners because they felt like they were being ignored in favor of the Stickcam crowd. Granted, me going away for 9 months on hiatus didn't help, I'm sure. Which you then could start getting into the quality of the other shows and why couldn't they sustain the listener count. But we won't even go there. We'll leave that alone. So that's my position on this. I've been arguing with Addy for the last couple of days, and he's just gotten under my skin, so I've gotten a little belligerent with him because my patience is running out. And the stupid fuck threatened to call in, and of course then he pushed out. So we'll see if he actually calls in because, you know, I mean, don't fucking call me out on the mailing list, motherfucker. I'm ready to fucking argue you. I'm ready to argue with you, and then he's sitting here claiming I didn't answer his question. I answered his question 3 fucking times. He just doesn't want to fucking, you know, he doesn't want to acknowledge my answer. So, Addy, if you're out there, and you better be, considering the shit you're talking, if you're out there, your ass better be dialing a phone. Because if you don't call into this show and take me on like you said you would, you're a pussy to the highest order. And I will make sure the listeners know that for the rest of your stay here, which will not be pleasant. Forge writing in, everybody in Stickcam every night are regular listeners. If we turned off the chat room, these people would still listen. We have a chat room, folks. For those of you who don't know, which is probably, well, I doubt it's anyone listening right now. We have a chat room on nhbradio.com that in my mind is every bit as good. It's every bit as good as the Stickcam chat room. Okay? In fact, we have more control over the NHB chat room. Okay? Folks, I want you to think of something else. NHB should never have been on Stickcam in the first place because back in the day, it catered to the under 18 crowd. We're an over 18 radio station. Yes, they've added the ability to mark the room as an adult room. But what happens if Stickcam changes its policies tomorrow or changes something and now suddenly goes against what we're doing? We're already, a bunch of the shows already aren't being featured when we used to be. Okay? So where is Stickcam helping us? They're not doing shit for us. And if they change their policies around tomorrow or do something that goes against what we're doing, now we got to be slave to them because fucking some staff don't understand where the priorities lie? Bullshit. Not on my watch. Sorry. And that's what I can't make anybody understand. So if you guys want to know why I'm aggravated to hell, this is part of it. There's more, believe me. Forge also writes in, they won't be happy, but they will still listen. I don't understand why they wouldn't be happy. There are chat rooms that you can use as an NHB fan. They're on a little website that is the home of the No Holds Barred radio network called nhbradio.com. Let's see. Forge also writing in, these other networks can't earn $1,000,000 over the course of a year. That's right. I remember when Mark the DJ would bitch and complain and beg his listeners for donations and barely got anything. And then there were posts about how they were ungrateful. Well, Mark, that's what happens when you don't build a listener base. We built a listener base. $8,000 in 36 hours. We built that. This is what we as a station built. Based on our material, exclusively, not relying on other people's material to vault us to the top too quickly. This was built over the course of years by hard work, by first me and Mike, and then as we brought everybody else in, they added to the work. This is a collective effort, and we built this ourselves. Okay? And, I don't think that's anything to sneeze at. I actually think that's something to be pretty damn fucking proud of. Of course, people who haven't been here as long wouldn't understand that. Forge writing in, internet radio should remain uncensored. That's the point. Yeah, absolutely. Kenny writing in, the IRC chat is antiquated compared to Stickcam. The only benefit is the write-in feature. And people spam that feature anyway. Okay, all right, Kenny. So people never come into the Stickcam room and spam the fuck out of it. How is it antiquated? How is it? I don't understand. It's text. You type, you press enter, the text appears on the screen. So you could see the cameras of other people. Maybe I'm being a little self-centered. Okay? But isn't the idea to be paying attention to the station that's broadcasting? And not the girl in the cam who's showing her picture, who's showing her tits because she doesn't get enough attention at home? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I have a wrong idea of the way this works. Okay? But I know from my experience doing radio that this shit don't work the way it is now. Fuck Screen Names writing in, what is NHB? I don't use anything. Thanks, Matt. You're really helping. I started listening 5 minutes ago and don't know anything other than Stickcam. Oh God, you are reminiscing about Prime? That thing crashed every 5 minutes. No, I'm not reminiscing about Prime. Prime was the webcam program we used to use to get the pictures up to the website. I'm not reminiscing about Prime. I was saying when we had 30-second still images going to the website, that was not what I envisioned the webcam for. Peter Slayer writing in, your staff is a bunch of males that love looking at underage chicks. That is most likely the only reason Stickcam is used. Well, that's not something I endorsed. Rico writing in, since it seems that many favor Stickcam for low delay, maybe we explore methods to cut the delay down on the real streams. How is the chat room anything different than Stickcam? It's based on a protocol standard that has been around for 20 plus years. Yeah, IRC, which has been around far longer and has far more control. I don't understand how a text chat room is antiquated. It's text. I don't get that. Enrico, from my understanding, the delay is built into the Shoutcast server. I mean, you probably know far more than I do on this, but there's no way around that. And I think if we switch to another server, we can't list in Shoutcast anymore, which it's not like Shoutcast is really doing us any favors. Meg writing in, the chat room is IRC, and not everybody nowadays knows what that is or even likes IRC. Also, people might not understand that IRC is easier for blind people, well, other than Stickcam, which is flash-based. Also, in the IRC chat, people usually use it for write-ins instead of conversing with each other from what I've seen. Well, you can use it for both. The chat room is meant, the chat room is meant for you guys to converse with each other naturally while you're listening to the stream. Well, you can use the writing command to write from the chat room to us. That was a feature built into the bot that Rico has in the chat room. As far as the whole flash-based thing, again, I just don't understand it, okay? I mean, text is text. And if you get something like MIRC, or if you just go to the website, for God's sakes, just go to nhbradio.com and click on Interact, and there's the chat interface right there. It's Java-based. It's the same damn thing. Meg also writes in, they do, but those people are usually the assholes who come in, have no idea what NHB is, and start spamming for no reason. Yeah, well, that was the other problem we used to have all the fucking time with the Stickam chat. People who come in and want attention any way they can get it, whether it's spamming, whether it's putting up their cam and being provocative. It all goes against, it goes against the main purpose. Loopy's writing in here, I would be interested to find out how important it is to our listeners to have their own cams on. I just treat it like another messenger. Okay, one newer listener says they don't use the IRC chat room because it's boring. No fancy fonts, and it's all black and white. No fancy font. Guys, maybe I don't get it because I'm blind, but who cares? I mean, why? How many times do you need to change your font in a conversation? And I'm sure we could change the colors if it really came down to it. Woodshop writing in, I almost listen exclusively on the streams. I don't mind the delay. And I don't like Stickam because it is coded in Flash. As such, it just eats and eats and eats CPU. And I've been here since the days of hold this up for 30 seconds for the webcam refresh. Yeah, I hated that shit. Another reason is the NHB chat room is better. It's just IRC. They don't have to use the website to get in it. You can use any IRC client under the sun to join it. That's true. That's another thing. Dynamic writes in, you said you don't see a difference between the Stickam chat and the website chat. It is completely a blind thing. I think. I think the deal is that Stickam allows all these fonts, colors, and other features. The IRC room is boring, black and white, and a single font. There's a part of me sometimes in life that hopes I never gain my sight. Because, to me, I just don't see the importance of all this. I really don't. I'm sorry, guys. What other features are there? You can put up your cam. You can broadcast your audio. You're not going to broadcast your audio into a station's chat room, so that feature's out. You can put up your cam, which, who cares? I mean, why should we look at you over the main broadcaster? I don't understand. And like I said, folks, this isn't internet television. It was never meant to be internet television. I didn't sign on to do internet television. It's internet radio with a visual aspect. That's all it was meant to be. Insomniac Jazz writing, and I love the sense of community that NHB has. Granted, understanding this community, it more or less is the only way that most of automation is funny to people, hence why my friends don't see the humor in NHB. But I think those who will become good fans can see this sense of community from the start and actively try to contribute to it. Look, much like any other talk radio station, I'll be the first person to say, if you tune into Howard Stern or you tune into Opie and Anthony, long-running, content-driven shows, you're not going to get it in the first 5 minutes. Because there's long-running jokes, there's things between hosts, there's things between shows on this network, little banters back and forth between shows. This is not something you're going to tune into and immediately understand. You have to stick with it. You have to ask questions. You have to listen to the automation for some of the backstory. It takes time. Once you're in, you're sucked in, usually. Writing in, they don't do live shows anymore. They restream a national radio talk show every now and then, but no Comedy Pipe exclusive live content. Yeah, because it doesn't work. That's why they don't do it, because it doesn't work for them. I said years ago, you can't do a stand-up automation and live shows. People want to hear one or the other. They don't generally want to hear both. And the listeners, they had 350, 450 listeners during their automation. When a show would go live, they'd lose over 200 people. They call that progress. In the real world, in real radio, no program director would be allowed in the building with those kind of numbers. They'd be fired. Management would be fired. And that's what I never could get across to Mark. Granted, we're working on the network. He could do whatever the hell he wants. But when it came down to having the station funded, he had no fan base. They didn't care. There was no connection. There was no nothing. No loyalty. And folks, I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, and not, I'm just sitting here thinking about where we went from over 180 to 200 people without Stickcam to 80 on the Wednesday show. 80. 82. I mean, looking at this now, it's 64. You know? And it's November 2nd, 2008. 64. I know it's an off night. No, normally a live show doesn't go here, so fine, I'll accept 64. But on a regular show, and granted, look, I'm not saying the NHB show is in top form. I know I've been kind of negative on the show over the last few weeks, months, and that may have something to do with it. Holy fuck, that scared the shit out of me. You know? So there's a lot going against the NHB show, and eventually, you know, hopefully at some point we'll get it together. You know? But I'm just trying to understand where 100 and some odd people went to. I'm trying to understand where these people disappeared to and why. Well, Rav's, Vamp's co-host, writes in on Skype, which isn't the easiest thing to read, by the way. Who cares if it's boring? You're here to listen and give your 2 cents, not to make it look pretty. See, this is where I think we've lost our mind. You know? Sam writing, in my opinion, if Stickcam is so much of an issue, why don't you just stop the audio chat and anything else for Stickcam except video? If you lose the people who can't be bothered to make their way to the website and stream, so be it. The dedicated ones will definitely keep listening. Well, that's something that's been proposed, although I don't want to... You can't just do away with the audio. You have to do the audio and video. My proposal originally, which I've been getting huge amounts of resistance on, and before I just become a dictator and put my foot down, I want to try and understand the staff's position because, you know, you can tend to second-guess yourself, and you don't want to do any more damage that's already been done, you know? And I'm trying to, as a manager, I'm trying to understand both sides of this argument, even though I'm kind of the one spearheading the opposition to the chat room. Addy has been claiming that the majority of our listeners, or his listeners at least, enter the Stickcam room and they ignore the streams. Addy broadcasts to the Stickcam room first and favors the stream second, which isn't the way we do things around here, you know? And no matter what, first of all, this from the guy who shows up to a meeting in Ventrilo with no microphone and refuses to buy a $20 USB mic to attend a meeting with. So, I mean, I already question Addy's intelligence level. But this just blows my mind. He's on an internet radio station that's established itself as a certain way for 8-9 years before we got here. And now he wants to change everything because he's just looking at the numbers. You know, that's all he looks at. He's looking at the numbers. He has no fucking idea what those numbers represent. He has no concept of branding. He has no concept, period. He sees a number. That's what he sees. And like everyone else, including me, I got sucked in by numbers too. You know? Numbers don't tell the whole fucking story. Especially when one of those numbers points to a site that is not a part of the No Holds Barred Radio Network. It's a resource we're using to stream our camera. Okay? When you connect to a stream on the NHB Radio website, you're connecting directly to a dedicated server in Texas, which runs the Shoutcast server, which broadcasts to you. We know you're there for us. Okay? Up until the point where we brought Stickcam into the picture, we knew everybody tuned in, and if they came in through the Shoutcast page or iTunes, it still pointed to our server. They connected to us. We knew they were there for us. Stickcam muddied that picture. Now we don't know who's here for who. We can't track anything. We have no idea what the hell's going on. Everything's gotten fucked up. And no one sees it. Nobody sees it but me. And a few other staff who, some of which I had to drag my point across their forehead with brass knuckles. Cloud Powder running in Stickcam's influence is really overrated. There's only 2 things that changed about the network. One, since it goes down when the show ends, there isn't really a chat room community that talks when the shows aren't on. Second, hosts focus on what other people are doing in Stickcam, which is generally annoying for those of us that like to listen to the streams. Then he writes in, I could see someone wanting to use the video. I can see someone who likes the no delay. But fonts it's text. The point is what you write. You know, it's really scary, but I agree with Cloud Paladin. Um, Hey Ravs, look, I'm not trying. Well, let me see. Ravs writing in. That's not true. Only I like underage chicks, but we don't put the cams or chat up on our show. We make everyone go to the website to chat. Okay, all right? Since Ravs is one of the people who doesn't put the chat room up and the cams, what do your numbers look like, Daniel? Do you know what the listener numbers are? Do you even look at them? And I'm asking only because I'm trying to kind of get a gauge here. And folks, I know some of you are going, we don't give a shit about this. Tune out if you don't care, you know? This is an unscheduled show anyway. I'm trying to kind of get a gauge from our listeners. See, occasionally we need to do this. I really think at some point in time, every so often, I need to get on. I should probably do it during a scheduled time period. Get on and have an honest-to-goodness fireside chat, so to speak, with the listeners of this station. Because it's the only way I have tried so many times putting up surveys in the forums, on the website. I want to know we're here for you, the listener to the No Holds Bar Radio Network. I have no idea what it is you want, okay? Unless you guys tell me how to make this station better. If you don't like something, if you don't tell me what that is, I can't address it. People just leave and don't talk to me, you know? Don't tell me what the problem is. I'm the general manager of the network. I own the thing. It's my responsibility in the end. Everything that goes on, the buck stops at this desk right here in Fords, New Jersey. Okay? I'm responsible for the failure of this station as much as its success because I'm the one who steers the ship in the end. If I don't know what's happening, I can't do shit to fix it. If I don't know what we're doing right or wrong. Look, I'd like to know what we're doing right and I'd like to know what we're doing wrong. But I don't know anything. All I see is, at the end of 2006, we had well over 100 listeners. Even into 2007, if you looked at the fact that when we were featured on Stickcam, 300, 400 listeners. Now, 80. Why? What happened? I don't understand. And, you know, the lower, look, you know, the main goal is to entertain the listeners to this station. That is the main goal. It's what we've been here. When me and Mike Ellis started with 5 people on our first show, you know, it was entertaining those 5. And the goal was always to see how big we can grow it. How big can we grow it? How far can we take it? You know? And there is way too much potential in the community of the No Holds Bar Radio Network. This should not be where it's at right now. We should be far bigger, 10 times bigger. We were on a growth spurt for years. And maybe this is I'm not used to seeing decline. This is the first decline I've seen over the last year. And yeah, it's a little freaky. It's a little disconcerting, you know? But I'm not even looking at my show. I'm looking at the network as a whole. The pool of talent at our disposal, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that we don't conform to the regular radio rules. I do in a lot of ways because I was trained that way, but there's a ton of rules that I break. Okay? A lot of people who have never taken radio in their lives get on here, they have a good personality, a good sense of humor, and they're entertaining and can engage the listeners. You know? So, you know, we haven't done advertising because where do you advertise a place like this? We rely on word of mouth and the listings on, you know, in the search engines, in the different internet radio yellow pages like Shoutcast and Icecast and iTunes and Windows Media if we're listed there. You know, for all I know, the iTunes links could be broken. I have no idea. No one's told me. So I don't know. Anyway. Daniel's telling me since we cut off the Stickcam chat and cams, we have more people listen on the network streams. Stickcam numbers have dropped off since we cut that off. Yeah. All right, I'm trying to get to your messages here, but I just make points as we go, so it's going to take me a little while. Shadow of the Ark writing in, if you hate Addy and Gabe so much, why don't you just fire them and be done with it? This has nothing to do with hating Addy and Gabe. Okay? First of all, let me share a little something about Addy and Gabe. I don't even know who they are. They do a show on Tuesday. I don't hear from them outside of the show. I don't have the time to listen to their show. Addy seems to take that personally. I try to tune in from time to time. And when I went, they had made some sort of stupid fucking gay ass, they were trying to hook me up with guys on Craigslist. So I fucked with them a little bit. And when I was on hiatus, I went over and did a music show on a different radio station, and they bitched about that. And I listened to them whine and cry about that and thought it was kind of fucking funny because I got 3 listeners to my music show versus their 60, 70, whatever the fuck it was, and they're bitching because I'm competing against them. The most ridiculous thing I've ever fucking heard since I was doing a rock music show and they were doing their show on the station with far more listeners versus my show on TBRN, which had next to none. So I've just let it go. But the fact that Addy and Gabe don't want to be a part of the network, they just want to leech off the resources of the network, which they said in the forums, which aren't around anymore because we had to take NHB Army down, But this is where, so I don't hate them. I don't even know them. I have been, Addy does, I do not talk to Addy outside of this network. And it's not because I don't want to. He don't come into Ventrilo. He can't even be bothered to buy a microphone. So this has nothing to do with hating Addy and Gabe. If I didn't like Addy and Gabe and I wanted them fired, I'd just fucking fire them. There's no fucking connection between Addy and Gabe and the rest of the network. Only a few people would probably care. Rab's writing in, all right, I read this. I want to see if there's anything new here. Because it was boring, you're here to listen and give your 2 cents, not to make it look pretty. Okay. All right, I read these already. Emily writing in, NHB has lost what it spent years building. It's no longer a community. It's not even something to be proud of anymore. It's in danger of becoming commercialized and censored. The IRC chat room is available through a Java app. It makes no difference. And it used to be there. There were conversations in there. All right. I honestly don't agree, Emily, on where you're thinking it's going commercialized. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. And censored. I mean, look, if Stickcam ever tried censoring us, you'll see a station leave Stickcam very fast. Okay? I will not be censored on the internet, no less. You want to censor me, you're going to lose me. Okay? Point blank, period. So, no. If the rest of the staff want to contend with this, they can get their own Stickcam rooms and deal with it. I will not be censored. Period. I was censored in college. All right? I started NHB for the sole purpose of now I can do what I want and I can be the boss of my show and take my show where I feel it needs to go. That was my point 10 years ago for putting NHB on the net. And if any organization thinks they're going to come around here and put an end to that now, they're 10 fucking years too late. And it isn't going to happen. Rico writing in, you can get around the delay. I have methods. It's Java, not Flash. I don't know which IRC. I guess the IRC room is Java, not Flash. I don't know. Or maybe the Stickcam room is Java. IRC supports multiple colors. Your client has to be able to process it. And if anybody cares, I'm in the IRC room and changing my font colors over and over. So, there you have it, folks. Sir Mars 11 writing in, I'd like Stickcam better if I could see it. Yes, I wish IRC would have Braille fonts and colors as well. I don't even know why he's saying that. Braille fonts, it's silly. Forge writing in, we are broadcasting for the listeners, not the other way around. Let's see. I'll get to that, Forge. Yeah. Forge is writing me a bunch of messages about shit that I'll get into later. No censorship. It didn't work well the first time. Exactly. Look, there's no reason. I mean, look, I'm against censorship to begin with. To me, if you don't want to hear something, turn it off. Loopy Blizzard's writing in, that that want the bling, dude? I'm getting that they want the bling on the IRC chat. And they like this fireside chat you have going on here. Okay. Fox Greening's writing in, you can change your font and colors with Merc. And you change more fonts and colors than you can in Stickcam. If you don't like Stickcam, then kill it. It's your network, just do it. I can't do that. You guys I can't just kill Stickcam because the backlash will be immense. Okay? It's Pandora's box now. It's open. We have to I guess I could say, fuck you, we're not using Stickcam. I'll have to deal with backlash from at least 2 shows. At least. And Stickcam itself, I don't think it's Stickcam that's the problem. Maybe it is. I don't know. Matt writing in, we don't put Stickcam up at all. And with no promotion for the show at all, we pull 48 listeners from 6 to 8, which is traditionally a lighter slot. Yes, that's true. Xeon writing in, the NHB chat room used to have a community, but it seems to have died after the Stickcam was created. Well, that community could be rebuilt. I remember there's been many iterations of a chat room for NHB. Okay? Believe me, it's easy to build a chat community. Talos writing in, fuck Stickcam. You aren't here for the video or chat. NHB is radio. You are here for the show. Go back to the era when NHB had 2 shows, just MSN and AIM and 2 streams. Fuck all else. See, I think that might be going back too far. You know? Rob's writing in, if you wanted to see an increase in numbers as a test, you should shut down the Stickcam room and see if more people hop on the actual streams. Yeah, I might try that, Rob. In when I get done here. Scott Davert writing in, I don't understand why there is even much of a market for anything other than live content. With the iPod and other devices, why bother listening to a music station? That's true. Anyways, I don't even get the point behind the video. This is internet radio, not internet TV. So most of the content is audio-oriented as far as I can tell. Look, I'm not going to deny, and yeah, in a sense, I got the idea. The idea came to me as the technology evolved, and yes, there was some basis and influence from the Howard Stern TV show that was on E! You know? The only difference is I didn't want to take this in a direction that Howard took it, where it was just a way to have girls come on where we can have little black spots over where their tits should be. To me, in my mind, I tried to think a little visual and say, what if these people wanted to see the face behind the voice? What if there was something that was going on? You know, yeah, we'd still describe it, but for certain listeners who wanted that extrasensory hole filled, they can go look at the video. It was an option. It's not mandatory, but it's there for those who want to see it. If we had something, like if, let's say, like in the bit where Johnny Gators had the Dollar Bin special where he bought the album cover. That joke wouldn't have worked if he couldn't have shown the cover to the Stickcam crowd. You know, there's a certain, or to the video crowd. I won't even call them the Stickcam crowd. The video watchers. Yeah, he could have described it, but it might have taken something away from it. There's a point behind video. I think it can be overused and can detract from things just like anything else. But NHB.
Hey, Johnny Gators here.
Gators, what's up?
So I turn on the stream and I hear bitching about Stickcam. Is this still going on?
Yes, this is still going on.
You know what? If people don't like Stickcam, don't use it. Don't tune into it. You know, really.
Well, Gators,
I've used it for my show. I run it in a manner where I pretty much ignore the camera for the most part. I run my show to work as a radio show, and I'm sick and tired of this negative attitude where we hate it, dump it, because some people like it.
Well, no, it's not. See, again, everyone's falling into the same mistake. I'm not talking. No, this all started because me and Addie have been going back and forth on the discussion list for days.
That's another matter.
Yeah, and I've called the pussy out, and of course, you know, he threatened he was going to call into this show, and he has yet to do that. And I just got tired of fighting with him, and so I got a little nasty with him. That, combined with a bunch of other things, made me resurrect Bitch Fest Radio. So
All right.
this is essentially Bitch Fest Radio.
Well, I know what I did not open the chat room when I started my show today, and I had the lowest count that I've had in a long time. I don't know if it's because I had that chat closed. I'm willing to continue going along. I did end up opening up the chat to see if it would bring more people in, and it didn't. So
Well,
either it was just one of those weeks where I didn't bring in a lot of numbers, or because I didn't have it open from the start, I didn't draw a big crowd at the beginning. I don't know.
What I'm trying to do is because I'm really just and I'm probably picking the wrong night to do this because it's not a scheduled show, but I'm basically pulling another fireside chat, so to speak, with the listeners because.
Okay.
We can sit here and speculate all fucking day, but I want to hear it right from the horse's mouth, as it were.
Well, the thing is, I think most of the people that are going to talk to us are people that are going to have something negative to say. I would really like to hear a pro Stickam opinion. Please, if you're out there and you have a pro Stickam opinion, now's the time to chime in.
Gators, there's been some I've gotten everything from you can't change your fonts in the IRC chat room, but you can in the Stickam chat room, which we've just proven wrong, by the way.
Okay. Well, I just tuned in and hear Stickam ranting, and I'm like, oh god, more of this.
No, Gators. I'll send you the whole thing afterwards. Okay.
Yeah, no, don't save yourself the time. I've heard it all before.
No, you haven't.
But
you honestly haven't.
But you know what? I mean, to be honest, when you start talking about the latest trend of the counts on your show, I really think your hiatus had a bigger effect than Stickam has. I am for disabling the chat room in Stickam, but for different reasons.
Right.
That's where my opinion is. If the listeners want to know in this little fireside chat we're having.
Gotcha.
Where was I? Was I interrupting more of your ranting? I mean,
no, I'm reading messages and responding to them. That's all.
All right. Well, let's go back to that.
All right.
Then.
Cool. All right. All right. Are you going to hang on the line or?
Well, if you want to open up Team Talk, I could just jump in there.
I'll do that in a little bit. I wanted to get through like the first hour and just get some shit out of my system first.
I'll hop out and let you finish up your first hour. And if you want to open up Team Talk later, I'll sit in with you.
I will.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Okay, more messages coming in here. Holy fuck, I lost my fucking mind here. Andrew's writing in and says, which Andrew, I'm going to say the same thing to you. Could you write in on the AO on the other screen name because it comes up on AOL and I can't read it as well. Do you think with the addition of Stickam, we were able to make more money during the telethon because of the video feature? I don't know. We can't really. It's hard to say. I'm sure it helped, but again, I'm not in there. I can't use the thing. I've gone into the chat room last fall when it was still somewhat usable for blind people. And all I remember seeing was a lot of the same thing that could have been done in the NHB chat room, contending with people who wanted their user cams up so because they could be attention whores, spammers, and problems with people who couldn't maintain the room because they're doing the show. Now maybe that's calmed down. I'm not saying Stickam has not helped the station, but where it helps and where it's hurt is something that we really can't measure. The fans of Stickam, and Andrew, I know how you feel about Stickam. You told me in a meeting you like the user cams. It helps you have more direct, user interaction with the listeners. Also, you get to stare at girls' tits. Let's call it for what it is. Okay, let's call it for what it is. Look, if I was sighted, I'd probably stare at girls' tits too on the damn cams. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, but let's call a spade, all right? Scott Davert writing in, I don't understand why there is even much of a market for anything other than live content. Oh, wait, I already read this. Most content is audio as far as I can tell. Another thing I think you need to remember is that some people are downloading the podcast. They don't count as listeners because they aren't live, but people like myself don't have a schedule that allows for much tuning in to live content at this time. Oh, I wonder who this is. NHB.
up, Damon? It's Nemesis.
Nemesis, what's going on?
Hey, I just want to give you my opinion. This is more of an anti-stick cam opinion, if that's okay.
I'm just here taking opinions. You guys, I've been saying where I stand for a while now, so go ahead.
All right, this is what I think. Okay, I got a slow-ass computer, and I hate going into stick cam for whatever reason, for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Because I used to have a webcam that worked.
Right.
Now it doesn't work. I think I should blame stick cam on that. It was cheap, $30.
Yeah.
Webcam, and it's hard. I got to log into stick cam. I got to get into there. It's just easier for me just to go into the streams.
Right. And that's
on
fine.
iTunes, and it still works if you're asking.
Yeah, that's
just
fine.
to do that.
But here's the thing, okay? To play devil's advocate for 1 second, I think everybody kind of is starting to get into the same mindset that befalls other things. If you want to listen to the streams and you don't want to listen to Stickcam, that's through Stickcam. That's fine. The option's there to use it. So, I mean, that's not really a big deal as far as an anti-Stickcam opinion, just because your computer doesn't support it.
Yeah, I know, but it's easier for me. I'm just I just want to listen to it.
Yeah.
Okay, turn on the stream. That's it. Okay, that's
fine.
That's all I want to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have a shortcut on my desktop that loads up the stream. It's a listen to nhbradio.m3u. I click on it. It loads Winamp. It loads the OGG stream, and I'm listening. I
mean, people just like doing that kind of shit where they can just.
Yeah. Look, if you want to go and see the video, or if you want to go and listen to the stream, and you want the non-45 secondized version, then you go into Stickcam. That's not the issue. The issue is that we're sitting here and we're trying to figure out A, where all the listeners have gone, and B, is Stickcam destroying the identity of this radio station? And in my mind, I think it is, because if you're sitting in Stickcam's chat room, you're not on NHB's website. Half the people, I'm thinking that a lot of the Stickcam casual people who come onto our site through Stickcam, who come onto the NHB Stickcam room, don't even know that we are a radio station outside of Stickcam. How does that build?
Why not give out a message saying, okay, look, we're not a radio station.
We do that.
An internet TV station. We're a radio station.
We do that.
Give out messages and basically just whore out the station that way.
We do.
That's how I see it.
We do all the time. It's always whored out all the time. And either they're just too lazy to go to the station, or they're there for Stickcam. We're just another room in Stickcam that they can pop into.
It's just going to be another fad that eventually people are just going to get bored of it.
It hasn't. I don't think a lot of
people are going to get eventually bored of Stickcam. That's what I think.
Well, it hasn't happened yet, and we've been using a year or longer than a year.
A little more than a year.
Yeah.
Eventually people are going to get tired of it. That's what I think.
That may be true. I don't know.
I think this really just is a down period. That's the only thing I can think of. I think eventually this would build up over time. Just try to rebuild your fan base, and maybe because you were on hiatus and you are the flagship show.
Yeah, but see, now you get into another situation. Okay, if you're gonna say that my hiatus, which I didn't mean the hiatus to be 8-9 months, it just happened that way because I ran into technical problems. But so what are we saying here? I go away for 9 months. The station loses 2/3 of its listener base. What does that say about the rest of the programming here on this station?
Jesus Christ.
I don't really want to give myself that much credit to say it's all my fault that because I went away and wasn't doing a show. And Never, you were around. You heard those shows between October and January. I don't think they were anything to write home about. They weren't that great. It was two incredibly depressed and miserable people. One of which has no fucking idea how radio works. And then there was Rich. Oh, wait a minute.
It's okay if I try to give you some advice if that can help.
Go ahead.
You said that your last few shows have been kind of negative, so I really don't really know because by the time your show comes on, I got class in the evening, so I can't really attend, can't really watch.
Gotcha.
Listen. So try to be a bit more positive. Just try to develop your fan base over time if that's even possible.
Well, the problem
for so long.
The problem has been that we've had a lot of inconsistency on the NHB radio show. We can't even get the same host from week to week to show up, and I'm having problems coming up with content because my brain's being pulled in a bunch of different directions, and so that's where I'm getting frustrated. I can get on the air and rattle shit off the top of my head and be funny, but the show just feels very disorganized, and I'm thinking that the disorganization may be hurting it. if people like what they're listening to, I'm not going to begrudge them of that. But I don't like what I'm putting out as a broadcaster. That's really my main problem. So that's something I got to fix. But
it could be. I think it's just a series of problems, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Try to handle the staff issue, then handle the listener issue.
Well, yeah. I gotcha.
Well, that's really all I wanted to say. I can't really think of anything else.
No, that's cool, dude. That's cool. I appreciate the opinion. That's what.
Okay, and if it wasn't for this class I got from 6 to 8:30, I would listen. Believe me.
No, dude, that's cool. I mean, I know people have life. You have work, you have class.
I wish I had a job. Can't trying to look for one. Shit.
Believe me, you're not alone.
Try to get a life anyway, but
yeah.
What you gonna do?
All right, man. Let me run.
I'll see you later.
I appreciate it. All right, that was Nemesis 877-642-5483. That's another thing, guys. I mean, we've had the same 800 number since 2003. I remember when this phone wouldn't shut up. I don't understand why people don't call. Some people will be like, well, it's because you're an asshole. Well, I've been an asshole since this show started. I don't understand why suddenly now that makes people afraid of me. Modeb writing in, everyone else is just lazy. Don't want to install IRC just to talk. Better for more shows, updated automation. I'm working on... Automation is a whole other problem, folks. Okay? Believe me. You guys don't even understand the immensity of that problem. We're working on it. Okay? There's a lot of work that's going into it, which I have to thank Johnny Gators for spearheading that. I'm sure Rico wants to kill him and me for suggesting it at this point, but it's ongoing, okay? We're working on it. I will have it. It's just going to it's not something you're going to wake up in the morning and be like, "Holy shit, automation." This is over time you will notice changes. It's all I can do. And, I'm still beating everyone up for telethon prizes. My girlfriend had to design a T-shirt layout, which I now have to find the files and forward to the staff because no one else did it. It's November 3rd. We were supposed to have these prizes out 2 days ago. I've told the staff that if these prizes are not out by December 1st, I'm pulling the plug on the station. So, note to staff, 28 days. Commander GC writing in, hell, I wrote an application so I could listen to NHB at work. Well, there's some initiative. Ravs is writing in, is Stickcam doing what it's supposed to in driving people to the website to learn more about the network and programming, or is it just there for non-regulars to pop in and out on? Well, that's the thing I'm trying to determine. NHB.
Hi, this is Scott. I just wanted to, first of all, can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine.
Okay, just making sure. What I think, and this may have been brought up, I walked away from the computer for a little bit, why not just have Stickcam silent so that people have to tune into the stream, maybe have a big banner at the top of it or something that says, to hear the content, go to this website, and then just, leave Stickcam up as a chat and then the video if the shows want to use it. You know what I mean?
The problem with that is then the video and the audio are not in sync, okay? Because the streams on our site, unfortunately, because of the technology, there's like about a 30 second to a minute delay, maybe even longer depending on which stream you listen to. So what you'll see in the Stickcam room, you won't hear for another 30, 45 seconds, a minute or two.
So it's all or nothing, really.
Well, no, we can turn the chat room off in the Stickcam room and drive people to the website to use. Well, we have a way to monitor how many people are in the Stickcam room. But the main thrust in all of this is to get people to come to the site.
Right. That's
the whole point. If they're not going to the site and they're just listening to us in the Stickcam room, to me, it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. You're not giving NHB anything. You're giving it to Stickcam.
Right, and if they really want to listen, they're going to go to the site regardless, Well,
they should, because there's so much more that goes on except what happens on the live shows.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. There's the forums, there's the, the mailing list, which I used to be on. I'm not on anymore. I just don't have time right now for it. But,
well, folks, just so you know, for those who are still flipping out that NHB Army was taken down, we're working on yet a new version of NHBRadio.com, which will have forums on it. So, forums are coming back. Okay, we just need to finish the website work. And believe me, a lot of work is going into putting out this new website. So I'm hoping it could be done before the end of November.
Well, I think that's something you got to remember. You were gone for a long time,
Yeah.
and I know that's been said before, but you have to give it time to build up. I haven't been around to look, know the numbers more recently, but it takes time,
The numbers we're getting now are reminiscent of the numbers we were getting in late 2002, early 2003. In the 80s for the flagship show. Like right now, I saw 72 at one point. We're at 70, which is okay for a Sunday barely announced show. But 2 years ago we pulled 180, and that was on the streams I could monitor. There was a Windows Media stream we couldn't monitor at the time locally, so it was more than that.
Yeah, I think like the other Skype or the caller said, there's just so many different factors that are going into it. That's all I really had to say. I want you to get back to the show. Have a good night.
Bye.
Yep.
All right. Sam writing in. Let me try and get to it. Shit. Hold on. NHB is one of those places where you need to stick around for a while to get settled in. I've almost been around for 2 years, and I stick my headphones... Did I read that right? Yeah, I stick my headphones in and listen to automation before I go to sleep. We really need a decent site again, and maybe I guess he's trying to say a forum. I know you said you're working on it, but that really is key to getting the attention of prospective listeners. I agree. The site has been kind of fluctuating over the last few years, and it's one of the things I said I was going to pin down this year. I honestly think Addie and Gabe do an entertaining show. Granted, they should interact with staff and listeners, but it doesn't help when we have sheep for listeners who will hate them because it's the current fad. That kind of bugs me. No, look, I agree. Every new show that has come on this network has had haters for long periods of time. Vamp still gets the shit beat out of him. There were haters to take it or leave it. I don't remember if there were haters to the last production. I think there were a few. But everyone who's come on here has gotten the treatment. And Addie and Gabe continue to get the treatment because they virtually ignore the rest of the station. They don't play any of the show's promos, show promos except for Gators. They don't acknowledge that we exist. And they don't really acknowledge the listeners much. They don't put up all the messengers. They cater to the Stickcam audience over the diehard over the stream listeners and the messenger users and shit like that. That's the things I've heard. So, that's that. That's what they do. And they've created this. Other shows that have come on this network, like Reckless Radio a few years ago, made enemies of the listeners, and this is what you get. What else we got here? Well, Mike the 8-Man emailed me recently about shipping the telethon DVDs out, so that's being done. Yeah, that's being done, and I thank Mike the 8-Man for spearheading that. But I haven't heard anything about T-shirts or the other prizes. Peter Slayer writing in, you can't go by Vamp and Rav's listener count because, well, it is Vamp and Rav's. I, for one, didn't even realize there was still a show before TLP. Yeah, there is. Woodshop writing in, since this is turning into a kind of public forum, can I address the issue of contact info? I spent 3 hours on Google looking for any mention of the email addresses for specific NHB shows. I had figured they would be on the wiki, but they're not. That's actually a good point. In all... that's actually kind of an embarrassing point, that there should be a TLP at nhbradio.com or ADHD at nhbradio.com or Addie and Gabe. There should be that kind of thing, and I hope Andrew and Rico are listening still, and maybe we can address that, because it makes sense to have that kind of stuff, and admittedly we don't. And I think the reason is because, I think it was an oversight that we never thought, hey, maybe people want to email the shows. There's a general email address like contact@nhbradio.com or damon@nhbradio.com, but maybe we should have show-based email addresses. I don't know. Rico, can we set something like that up, and I'll put it on the staff list if I remember after the show. Someone, dude, email me, Damon@nhbradio.com, and put that in an email, because I'll forget. Nemesis writing in, I just don't like Stickcam altogether. It's just easier to listen on iTunes. By the way, the iTunes links they work. Okay, well, at least they're still working. Game player writing in, iTunes link is not broken. iTunes just have a huge delay. Well, iTunes isn't any. All iTunes is a pointer to the stream. Hell Basement writing in, sometimes I get unauthorized access when trying to access the MP3 stream. I have no idea why you would be getting that. I think another reason is that many of your listeners aren't from the U.S., so the time differences really confuse them. In my case, or like in my case, look, guys, not everything we can't help the time differences. I mean, that's part of the reason why the podcasts are there. And believe me, it's gone through my mind that maybe the podcasts are hurting the live show numbers too, because why would anyone make it a priority to tune in when they can just be like, oh, fuck it, I don't want to deal with this now. I'll just grab the podcast later. So that went through my mind too, but I remember we were still pulling over 180, 190 listeners, plus several hundred downloads to the podcast. So I'm not sure. I don't know. Andrew said, yes, the show emails are doable. I know they're doable. The question is, can we? I can't even pronounce this name. Don't worry, Damon. The iTunes link works. I'm on it. All right. I got it. Cloud Paladin writing in, Damon, at the end of 2006, you had content, running bits, and a reliable co-host lineup. The Stickcam may be affecting the numbers to some extent, but the content is probably a bigger issue. I'm not going to deny that the content is not a problem. I mean, I can't control my there's certain things I can't control, but I think that Stickcam has a lot to do, or has something to do with it. Because I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, and that's what I'm trying to kind of understand. And I did this whole, let's talk to the listeners routine a year ago, and maybe I need to pull that show out and listen to it again. But I'm not sure I understand. What the hell? I mean, if someone would come out and say, look, Damon, you went away for 9 months. All right, I went away for 9 months, but I'm back. I've been back. I publicized all through the month of August that the flagship show returned September 3rd, 2008. I even went and did 3 or 4 test shows. We've been back every week since September 3rd, okay? And even when we weren't back, for the most part, I ran reruns every Wednesday, And, folks, the return of NHB was actually supposed to happen 3 months earlier on June 1st. Unfortunately, I couldn't get this. I had problems with getting the studio back together. Emily writing in, commercialized as in there's nothing personal, there's no connection to it. That's really... and Damon, there's already been censorship to a point. 07 telethon banning started it. Also, a lot of people would care if they were fired. A lot of people are sick of Addie and Gabe shit. Well... the 2007 telethon aside, yes, Stickcam banned us because there were nude shots when Beanpole and then we're putting Icy Hot on their balls. Yeah, that was censorship. Did I agree with it? No. Okay, absolutely not. Personally, I was ready to bail out on Stickcam then and there. But my point was, let's find another service first that does the same thing. We didn't find another service. And the staff unanimously and universally wanted to stay with Stickcam because of the numbers. Guys, you got to remember one thing. Yes, it's my station, okay? I could feasibly bring the hammer down and say, fuck you, I don't care what you want. We're leaving Stickcam behind, okay? But I didn't really think that was the correct way to run. If everybody wanted Stickcam so bad, in my mind it was like, all right, I don't agree with what they've done here, but as a democratic system, if this becomes a bigger issue, I'll address it then. but it hasn't really been an issue since. Because to be honest with you, I don't endorse nudity on the shows anyway. I mean, it's something that other DJs have done, like Howard Stern and Opie and Anthony, and I don't really think it's all that great. It's eye candy for guys, yes. But is that the kind of thing we want on NHB? It's not the kind of thing I want on my show. I don't think that having girls prance around naked it makes them look like whores to a lot of people. Emily continues to write, backlash will come from people who don't care about the station. It's still backlash that I have to deal with. You guys got to remember that as the general manager of the radio station, it all comes down on me. And I got to deal with it. And I don't want to deal with it. This is a hobby. I don't get paid to do this. But I don't understand. When Gators says the listener count was down for not having a chat room, he treats it like it's a negative thing. But if these people won't bother listening to us if there's no chat room, why do we give a shit about them? Well, same about not having pro stick cam opinions. If the pro... shit. If the pro stick cam people can't be bothered messaging us, why do we give a shit? Well, we do. Andrew's telling me bullshit. I'd love naked chicks on my show. Andrew, I've had naked chicks on my show. I can't see them. To be honest with you, guys, if you ever paid attention when Paul got really hot girls in on the show, it annoyed the fuck out of me. Because to me, it's like, okay, they're hot. And, like, do they have anything to say? Most of them didn't. It became the thing where my hormones went into overdrive, and it's like, okay, everyone else can look at these girls, but I can't. They've got nothing to fucking say. They become the centerpiece of the show. Everyone's just drooling over them, spending 3 hours trying to talk them out of their clothes. Every time we've had a female on the show, and it became centered around how hot she was and what she was wearing, the show went down the fucking shitter. Rico writing in, this is why I think NSV is the way to go. Yeah, NSV, when we were streaming, yeah, but didn't we get rid of NSV because of the load it was putting on the server, Rico? Wasn't that the whole reason to switch from Stickcam to Stickcam in the first place? Forge writing in, I have no problem with people trying to censor me as long as they don't have a problem with me telling them to go fuck themselves. I can't. Stickcam is not destroying our brand. It is, however, detracting from it. Like I say, a crawl banner across the video that says, want to interact, log into our chat room at nhbradio.com. Yeah, I agree. Oh, Addy's hiding in the Stickcam and won't call in. It's because he's a flaming pussy. And thank you, Forge, for ratting him out. This democratic system needs you to pull a dictatorship takeover. Well, maybe it does. And of course Addy won't call him, because he's got no balls. So apparently an ex-girlfriend stole him. Andrew writing in, do you think with the addition of Stickcam, though, we would be able to make... this is a message I'm just getting to now. That's why Andrew's writing me on the AIM. Matt writing in, so what if it's Pandora's box? If shows don't like it, let them go. It's not the end of the world. To say that some people like it isn't that great an argument. 50% of the participants in rape enjoy it. Don't make it good. We're comparing Stickcam to rape. Okay. I've been around for 7 years and I don't fit in yet. I need to listen to more automation, I think. Yeah, very funny, Matt. You know more about automation than I do. And I've been here for most of it. Meg writing in, from a Stickcam user, I like Stickcam because it is more personal. I never listened to most of the live shows until I discovered the Stickcam streams. Simply because I felt detached from the show. With Stickcam, I feel like I am a part of the show. There is a lot of difference when you can see the host and they can see you. It makes you feel like you are more involved, and it makes you feel more welcome. Again, Meg, maybe this is a sighted thing. Because I can't see you, okay? If I had a monitor up here, it wouldn't matter. Because I can't see you, and I don't feel connected to anyone in the Stickcam room because they could see me, but I can't see them. And they can do things that everyone else, my sighted co-hosts, would make a big stink out of, and I couldn't connect with it. Rye writing, and yeah, I remember the times of using AIM Chat as our chat room. Tons of bots offering to increase our cock size or make our women moist. Yep, I remember that too, Rye. Saturn9 writing in, I have no idea how you could fix the network, but my only problem with the Wednesday show is that you're not having a good time with them. You're at your funniest when you're fooling around and just having fun. I agree. It probably would be more fun if I had consistent co-hosts throughout the week and show prep and people to help me produce the damn thing. Xeon writing in, the pink gorilla was a good use of the video. Yeah, you had to bring that up, didn't you? As I do agree, but that just makes me think of someone I don't want to think about. Sir Mars 11 writing in a question: would Stickcam be a problem if it was accessible, or is it more the numbers and using the streams? It's both. I mean, look, guys, the general manager, the guy who started the thing, can't even use it. Okay, don't you think that might be a problem? My co-host Liam can't use it. Okay? That's two of the main hosts of the flagship show on Wednesday who can't use one part of the station that everyone seems to is that a lot of people use. Mel, I guess that's Mel writing in, hey Damon, in my opinion, the shows need to go on consistently and have some form of valid content. Whether people like the content is up to them. I do have some positives. There are some great shows on the network, and I am a loyal listener and listen whenever I can. I do use Stickcam, but I'm using it more for the chat room. Would move to IRC if it was promoted more. Guys, we promoted every show. I know Forge does. I know Gators does. I know I do. I can't vouch for the others. Kenny's writing in, we haven't had tits and Stickcam in almost a year. Yes, and I bet you're crying profusely over it. Dynamic writing in, actually the title of the Stickcam room is nhbradio.com. Maybe we need to make that a little more bolder or something. Shadow of the Ark writing in, the biggest problem with NHB is inconsistent with their schedule. And some shows don't go on every week and regularly miss. This is why Family Guy was pulled off the air, because they kept moving it around and it had low numbers. Guys, look, I agree. Look, the whole point behind all of this started because I wanted consistency on this network. It needs to start with my show. You know, people tune into, consistency is important. People expect to tune in and hear certain things. They expect on Wednesday at 8 to hear the No Holds Barred radio show. They expect to hear a certain amount of things in that show. They expect to have the same people on every week. They expect the same things to happen at the same times. You know, if a show says it's going to go on Sundays 6 to 8, which is Dune and Bob, it should go on Sunday 6 to 8. Now, we're not being paid to do this. There are weeks people are going to miss. If it becomes a point where people miss more than they're making it, they either need to reconsider their time slot or go on a hiatus or leave. You know? I'm not a fan of the fact that some shows don't go on every week. I don't understand why a show goes on every other week when they have 168 hours to come up with 2 hours of content. But that's their choice. I can't. I mean, yeah, I could twist their arm and make them, and I could lose that show. You know? I mean, it's a tight rope that I walk, you know? And I suppose that maybe I should put my foot down and be like, look, we're doing things this way. This is the way it's going to be. Putting the foot down, these are the guidelines. If you don't want to follow these guidelines, you need to go somewhere else. And maybe it will, I'm sure it's going to come to that eventually. But then I will be called a dictator, and everyone will come down on me for being a ruthless, evil bitch, and I'll have to endure that abuse again. So, and maybe I need to. Maybe I should just stop giving a shit. Maybe I should stop being nice and worrying about what everyone else would think of me, and just be like, you know what? This is my station. This is how I want it run. I don't care if you don't like it. Loopy's writing in, Johnny and I are going back and forth on the talk list. Addy says he can't call in because he did not pay the bill. He was waiting on NHB money, and he is getting evicted tomorrow. And, oh hell, no, he cannot come stay with me. First of all, Addy, that is the lamest, stupidest excuse I've ever fucking heard. Okay? You're a pussy. Okay? I called you out. You backpedaled like the skirt-wearing bitch that you are. And if you think that if you had any hope of respect from me, it just went away. Okay? Now you're just going to be pissed on every opportunity I can get. Are MSN messages reaching you? I don't seem to hear many MSN names being read. Hey, I always bitched when Paul had women on the air. They were never funny. Addy won't call in because he has no microphone on his phone. How do you not have a microphone on your phone? Holy fuck. Oh, no, there goes the MSN messages. All right. I say that Stickcam causes the neglect of MSN messages. No, that's not true. Peter Slayer writing in, yes, Damon, technically you are back, but really you aren't like you used to be. You admit to having creativity issues, and it really shows. I'm not saying that it's your fault. I'm just saying the spark you used to have for the show is gone, and it shows. Maybe that has something to do with it, and it probably does. And sorry, I'll try not to write paragraphs the next time I write in. No, that's fine. I can read that. That's fine. Look, guys, when it comes to my show, and I know we're kind of going off on tangents. Look, when it comes to my show, and I notice this from listening to old shows, one person cannot carry the NHB radio show. Okay? It doesn't happen. The show is too big, and I'm not saying too big is to say an ego thing. The show is too big for one person to handle. Okay? You're dealing with a show with a number of people on it, and you know we've produced this whole thing with parodies and bits and whatnot and content. You need more than one person to write it. The show was at its best when the two people who were creating the show created it together. It shouldn't be one person who sits and stresses over the content, has no idea how good his content is until he walks on the air, and all of his co-hosts show up and have no idea what's going to happen next. And you don't even get the same host from week to week. It doesn't work that way. That's where this thing has all gone to hell. If I knew every week it was going to be like Damon and Liam, and Damon and Liam sat down on a Monday night or a Tuesday night in Ventrilo and said, okay, this is my idea, this is your idea, I had this idea for a commercial, help me write it, blah, 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 blah. Then I'd come in on a Wednesday and I'd feel more comfortable because I knew that we were going in with something. I'm not saying we script every word of the show, but you got to go in with a plan. And right now I don't even know who's going to show up from week to week. And you got co-hosts who have a very limited quantity of material. And you know, one guy who's sick one week and the Cubs are playing one week and his internet goes out another week and he's this another week. And then when he shows up, you know, he's there and he's funny, but, you know, we don't have time to sit down and prep. That's where the show is going wrong. First of all, there's too many people. We need to get it down back to 2 people. 4 is too much. 3 is too much. 3 only works when it's a certain chemistry between 3. This particular threesome is not working. Sam writing in, well, Stickcam still have terms and conditions which you have to abide by to use their service. NHB wasn't really censored, just punished for breaking a fair set of rules. Well, we were censored by the fact that we were banned. And again, that's all a matter of if you really want to have nudity on your station, Stickcam is not the place for you to be. You know? Alex is writing in, the podcast link on the front page isn't working. Yes, we're redoing the podcast system. Okay? Rico writing in, the following is copy and pasted from Stickcam. Dynamic. Oh, I'm listening to other things. Dynamic. I'm tired of listening to the blind guy rant. Well, I don't care. Dynamic can go fuck himself with a fire hose. Kenny writing in, Damon, if blind people can't use a voting booth, does that mean we should all use absentee ballots? Kenny, the apples and oranges comparisons you keep coming up with don't hold any water. Okay? I didn't create the voting system, okay? I work within its limitations, but I didn't create the voting system in this country, okay? I created NHB, and I should be able to use all aspects of the station I started. Okay? What you're basically saying to me is we don't care that you started NHB, Damon. We want to use this service, and it's not blind friendly? Well, fuck you. You know what? I get to deal with that throughout my life, Kenny. I'm not going to deal with that on my station. Okay. Meg writing in, pretty much everybody can bitch about shows and Stickcam and listeners all they want, but everything is at a stalemate. You can't do one thing without fucking up in another aspect because then people will bitch and cry over it, which gives no room for improvement or progression. Well, that's the point. I'm kind of feeling like it's a catch-22, and my concern is I don't want to do anything that's gonna screw the station, but I don't feel like I should be having listeners dictate terms to the management. Dynamic writing in, I cannot listen to the show anymore since Rico banned me from Stickcam because he's the power-hungry prick he has always been. That also cuts off the stream from the website, and streams on Stickcam are not coming up for me. So good night, Damon. Well, Dynamic, you're full of shit because he pasted to me what the hell you said. Yes, Rico, I know somebody killed my lights. Hold on, I'll fix it. Family. I swear to God, these people are just something else. AimKid STD writing in, Damon, are you having a stressful day? No. Dumbass. Emily writing in, it's the argument of quality versus quantity. Is it better to keep shows that are crap or can't do things, or to only have 4 or 5 quality shows? Well, it's not that. I'm not a fan of quantity over quality, but everybody likes different things. You can't just say your opinion is right and someone else's isn't. You know? Quality is an opinion. And it's a sliding scale, too, apparently. Your MSN needs to be really lagged or something. Well, bitch to someone who could fix it, because I can't. It's not that MSN is lagged. It's called I've got a bunch of messages. Well, Rico, don't worry about it. Let him rant. Let Dynamic rant all he wants. He's an idiot. Forge writing in, what are you saying? What you are saying is maybe you should start worrying more about the network because that's what's important to those of us who get it anyway. Thank you, Forge. Priest writing in, lack of contribution. The problem is the staff lacks that something driving them to produce content for the shows, causing automation to be fail. Dude, turn your caps lock off. Holy crap. AimKid STD, are we on rough edges, Damon? No, not at all. Peter Slayer writing in, Dynamic is apparently one of those retarded Stickcam douches that thinks the world of NHB ends when he can't get into Stickcam. He won't be missed. Well, that's my whole point. That's exactly the point I've been making. If you don't go to nhbradio.com and you don't want anything to do with our site and our streams, and you're just going to camp out on Stickcam all day, you're not helping NHB. You're helping Stickcam. I mean, that's what my whole point has been. Daniel writing in, I think the show factor is some people like certain shows and have their following, and people listen to what they want and will hate on the shows that they don't like or understand. Well, look, there has always been a level of I've been here forever. I like these shows. This new show came in. I don't like them, so they suck and they should be fired. Because certain, and though that opinion is wrong. The opinion has always been, look, we bring a show on, we give that show a certain time frame to get their shit together. Okay? That's what we do. And if their listener counts are equivalent to the established shows, we can only assume that they're doing a good enough job to stay. Okay? If you don't like the show, you don't have to listen to that show. Look, you don't watch every show on network television. Okay? I guarantee you don't watch every show that Fox puts on. Does that mean that Fox should cancel a show you don't like? No, it means you don't watch it. You don't have to like everything that's on the No Holds Bar Radio Network. Look, if you only listen to one show on this station, fine. Follow that show. Be my guest. But that doesn't mean all the other shows are going to get fired because you don't like them. Forge is writing in, quality is a sliding scale all the way from, say, NHB right up to a level like TLP. I get it now. I don't. Loopy's writing in, my daughter Robin says you need a hug. Well, yeah, because the girlfriend went home, so I'm not getting any of those. Whew. Well, that killed an hour and 36 minutes. I don't know. I mean, I appreciate the opinions that everyone's written in. I don't know if we've really come to any conclusions necessarily, but I appreciate the fact that people have weighed in on this. And like I said, the only way we can really know, look, this is the way I've always kind of envisioned it. We're here to entertain the listeners. And I mean the listeners, no matter where they come in from. You know, if you enjoy what we're doing, in my mind, if you found us through iTunes, if you found us through Shoutcast, if you found us through Stickcam, if you found us doing a Google search, I don't care how you found us. If you enjoy what we're doing, it would make sense to me to say, I want to know more about these guys. Let's go to the nhbradio.com website. You go to the website, you see, you know, there's a bunch of stuff there. There's a chat room. There used to be forums. There's all kinds of stuff. If you still want to listen on Stickcam, that's fine. But personally, I think we should have a push toward the NHB-based resources, the NHB chat room. You know, fine. If you want to listen to Stickcam for the no delay stream and to see the video, I'm all about that. I have no problem with that. I don't think we should have the user cams on, personally, my opinion. And I don't think we should be using Stickcam's chat room. We have a perfectly functional and capable chat room. That is what I think we should be using as a station. This shouldn't even be a debate. I don't understand why the argument is that we don't want people to go to our website. That's in my mind, that's what people are telling me when they say we should leave the Stickcam chat room on. So you're saying you don't want people to go to nhbradio.com. Well, whose side are you on? That's just my opinion. I understand. Look, I know it sounds like I've been dogging on the Stickcam thing. I think it's a part of the problem. Yes, the automation's fucked up. We're fixing it. It's going to take time. Yes, the shows are inconsistent. Maybe in a lot of ways, the spark is missing from a bunch of the shows. I know my show in particular is having problems. I'm trying to fix them. I write into the mailing list every week and say, guys, give me feedback. Was it good? Was it not good? I get it's good. Personally, I don't think it's good. People tell me I stress too much. But you know what? I have to enjoy what I'm putting out on my show. And this would go for any other staff. You know, I have to enjoy what I'm putting out. Honestly, I don't think I'm putting out work that is respective of the potential that I could be doing. You know, I'm not meeting my potential. Okay? I'm not meeting a standard that I've set for myself. Part of that is me. You know, I work a technical support job all day. It takes a lot of energy and patience for me to not flip out on the customers. I'm drained. I'm lazy. I'm fighting with a lot of studio gear, so I'm not very motivated to do parodies and production because there's a lot of glitches in the studio I'm still working out, and I don't want to deal with it. I play in a band that takes up my time. By the end of the day, I just want to sit and BS in Ventrilo. I wish my co-hosts had the same energy for the show that I used to have. Maybe it would be infectious. But, folks, it gets tiring when you're feeling like you're the only one who cares about the show and that you're the only one who's carrying the show and who's worried about the content and who's worried about what happens on Wednesdays between 8 and 11. Granted, I'm to blame for that because I should be putting more pressure on Liam, but I shouldn't have to put pressure on my co-host. He should want to do this. And I'm not saying that he doesn't. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what Steve's doing. And to be fair, Steve has tried to write bits. To be honest, they're not. They need to undergo serious rewrite, and that puts the burden back on me. Folks, it's time. I don't want to be the sole writer, producer, contributor to this show. It should be a teamwork effort. NHB was the most fun when me and my original co-host would sit in my dorm room and write material, where we'd sit in his van online at the DMV. We wrote a whole morning show online at the DMV just through conversation. Things we came up with through our conversation, we turned into bits and wrote an entire show sitting online at the inspection station. But you know what? That doesn't happen. It hasn't happened for a very long time. And it's tiring, folks, to be the only one who seems to worry about what is happening to this show. And that's where the drain factor comes in. And I said this on the discussion list last week. Also, I went through a very bad depression last year, thanks to a girl, which I vow I will never let happen again if it kills me, So that didn't help, So there's a lot of things that affect the show. I can only speak for my show, okay? I can't speak for the others. That is something the other shows would need to address if you guys feel that the spark is not there. No, I'm not having the greatest fun doing NHB right now. I've been tempted to just go back on hiatus, which is not going to help the station, and it isn't going to help me, and it's really kind of a slap in the face to you guys because you just gave us $8,000. Now I'm going to go back on hiatus again? I don't think hiatus is the answer. I think in a lot of ways hiatus made everything worse because now people care even less. And I just need to get my co-host situation in line. I think we have too many people on the NHB show. I think it needs to be two people. The best show that we did since coming back was the show and it was just me and Liam when we read that 321 Contact article. That was the best show we did. And maybe that says something. So I got to deal with the co-host situation, and I got to get the current co-host or co-hosts to contribute to the show and meet regularly and put a show together the way it used to be done. That's the way it used to be done. Even a year into the internet show, it was still being done that way. And when the show stopped being fun was when co-host number 2 stopped producing and pushed all the burden of producing the show onto one man's shoulders. That was when everything started to not be fun anymore. With the exception of the Dave and Mike era, because Dave and Mike brought things to the table. And yeah, I might have done 90% of the production work, but at least they brought material to the table every week. And I wrote this whole history, so to speak, of where this whole thing went wrong on the discussion list, so I'm not going to rehash it again. But that's where my brainstorming has brought me as far as the NHB radio show. And yes, only I could fix it. So some people need to be let go. And I need to basically shore up the other co-host and get him on the page. And if he's not going to be on the page, then I got to find someone who can be on that page. But the days of one man carrying this show can't continue, or there won't be a show. One man can't do it, and it's not fair to that one person to put all that burden on him. If people want to be on this show, they should want to come up with the material together. It should be a team. To bring up a dated rock thing, Lennon and McCartney, John Lennon and Paul McCartney from the Beatles were at their best when they wrote together. The moment they stopped writing together, the material wasn't as good. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm anywhere near the caliber of John Lennon or Paul McCartney, but the analogy holds up. Sam's writing in, Forge is saying that NHB is at the bottom and TLP is at the top of the scale. Go get him, Damon. I don't have to get him. He's married. You're responsible for keeping me up till 3 a.m., you bastard. I'm going, but I think the conclusion is more people need to get on the talk list and bitch. I don't think it really comes down to bitching. I think people need to be honest with their opinion about the station. Priest is writing in, sorry about the caps lock. Here is how I see it, and I have listened for many years. It's the love of the network by both listeners and hosts. Oh, the love of the network by listeners and hosts is gone. Both listeners and hosts are not taking the network seriously and showing that participation and love from back in the day. I think Stickcam and Stickcam Chat are the reasons why that happened. Then the priest sent me a handwritten message that I cannot view. I don't know what the hell that is. Maybe that was a mistake. Forge is writing in. People need be warned. If they come over to the community, they might get hooked, or God forbid, they might have fun. But I don't know. The priest seems to think that none of us are having fun anymore. Alex writing in, Damon, I agree with you 100%. Well, that's good, I think. I can't pronounce this person's name, but I think that as long as the hosts are having fun, the listeners will too. The show where you told stupid jokes for an hour was fantastic because the hosts were laughing and having a good time. Yeah, but those jokes were fucking painful, man. I'm sorry. And again, the thing that I love about radio people, they always try to do this. Well, it worked last night, so let's do it again. No, it never works twice. Okay? It never works twice in a row. Anyway. Well, it's 9:47. More messages coming in. Inkit SDD, Damon, you're right on so many points. Okay. Okay, thank you, Rico. The priest writing in, yeah, Damon, that was the wrong button. Okay. So anyway, folks, this isn't the only thing that I'm irritated with lately. But seriously, it just seems like the love of the whole thing of it is gone. Look, I don't know. See, like I said, I think for me at least, it's a matter of feeling like, from my show perspective, that no one else is kind of into it. They just kind of show up on show day, like, I'm here. Well, that's great. Where were you the other 6 days? You know, when I needed help writing and producing this, like, everyone wants to do the show. And maybe this could be said in varying degrees for the rest of the staff. They want to do the show, but they don't want to come up with the content for the show. They just want to get on the air and wing it. And then when people don't quite take to it, they don't know what to do. Or if they blow through their content too quickly. Or maybe they rely on the listeners too much for feedback. And when you don't get any, you blow through your material. And then you're stuck for the last hour looking at the screen going, duh, what do I do now? And, you know, from the listener's perspective, look, if we're not having fun, it's going to show, and you're not going to get into it either. But there are some times where the listeners have just had their own agenda to some extent and didn't quite, you know. I mean, we've asked the listeners for quite a few things. The general manager election thing. People were supposed to do commercials. They didn't do them. NHB Idol worked the first time around, had to struggle to get NHB Idol Holiday Edition off the ground, and NHB Idol 2.0 didn't really happen. You know? I'll try it again in January, but I don't think it's going to go over very well, you know? And, you know, I don't understand. I mean, so many contests, so many things we've come up with to try and get the listeners to participate in, and the listeners haven't taken to it, and that can kind of be disconcerting to the hosts and to the staff. We put time into this thing, And I mean, we don't just throw these things out here half-assed. Well, maybe some people do, you know. But I think it's a vicious cycle. The listeners aren't getting that we're having fun. But, you know, in order for us to have fun, we need to feel like the listeners are having fun. And if the listeners aren't following along with us, then we don't know quite what's wrong and we're not getting it. So we're all just kind of, it's a vicious cycle. So at some point, someone's got to break the cycle. You know, maybe it's hard for the other staff because they weren't here when there was 4 listeners and you really had to basically drive the show with just you and your co-hosts and have material handy. And granted, I've been spoiled by that. I mean, it would take a lot. And that's why I'm listening to old shows, because I'm trying to remember how to do a show when your listeners aren't there. And when your listeners aren't giving you the feedback. And all you have is you and your co-host and the material that you spent the week prepping for. You know? Maybe we need, you know, maybe there is a sense of needing to go back to the basics. You know? Which, again, you can't do when you don't even know who's showing up from week to week and where have they been. Like, I haven't spoken to Liam really since Wednesday. And that's not really the way to run a show. You should be talking to your co-hosts, I think, and communicating with them. I'm not saying every conversation should be show-related. Hell, most of the stuff I used to come up with for the show in the past, we weren't talking about the show. We were just talking, hey, that's kind of funny. It's a bit idea, you know? So, I don't know. I'm just rambling and not even making any sense anymore. Well, I'm making sense, but messages have dried up, so you guys have probably just about had enough of this. That's not even the only thing I'm irritated about, but... Well, Daniel makes a good point. As a co-host, I feel most of the listeners expect you to be on every time you're out. All you can do is try, and if you're not into it, sorry. We all will do our shows, and most of the time we're all on. But sorry if 1 week we're off. You know, sorry if 1 week that we're off. Well, I think that there may be an unrealistic expectation from the listeners that we always, have to bring our A game to the table, and we always have to be here every week. So sometimes that's just not possible. I mean, we're not if we were getting paid, maybe it'd be different. And believe me, there was a time, and to a lot of degrees, I would still love to see what would happen if NHB could be in a medium where we had access to more people, where we could get on Sirius or XM. I mean, internet radio, you're competing with terrestrial radio, you're competing with satellite radio, you're competing with things like YouTube and your iPods, and there's so many other things to compete with. Radio is mostly listened to in the car. And I just wonder sometimes what would happen in a hypothetical situation if NHB radio was able to be in your car. If we were able to sit right alongside Howard Stern, Opie and Anthony, Bubba the Love Sponge, whoever, and you were able to pull us in, how the general public, how your average listener who isn't tied to a computer would take to a bit like shit in the microwave, or Mike versus Mike, or anything that this station's produced, But unfortunately, we don't have the means to do that. Supposedly, someday, internet radio will be something you'll be able to pull in on your car stereos, like XM or Sirius or whatever. And you can listen to it on your cell phones now if you have the right software and you know how to patch the cell phone into your car. Yeah, you can listen to us in your car. But, it's not there for the masses yet. But I really wonder what would happen, how our material, how this stuff would be taken by your average Howard Stern fan or Opie and Anthony fan or your Sirius or XM radio satellite subscriber. We'd never last on FM radio, and I don't want to be on FM radio. Right, writing in, now that you're done with the stick cam and the shows, can we debate politics? Can we debate politics now? Oh, God, you want to do this? I think I wore myself out with the stick cam debate. Well, let me do this quick thing here because this will actually inject some lightness into the show. Many of you guys know I play in a band called THD. 3 of the guys in THD are also in a band called Lipstick Magazine. Okay? Now, Lipstick Magazine, they were trying to get me in as their keyboard player. I was in this band for all of 7 hours. Okay? Because I was in the band, and then they didn't want me in the band anymore. They wanted to keep their original keyboard player. All right, just as a quick aside here, Peener Slayer writing in, if NHB radio was available in the car, there would be a lot more road rage and suicides. I don't know if I agree with that. Mailman writing in, hardcore sports radio on the Sirius, swear all the time. Have you talked with Sirius at all? No, I would. From what I understand, if you want to get a station on Sirius, you got to put up front thousands of dollars and generate so many thousands of dollars in revenue a month to keep your station going. So it was something that wasn't obviously realistic. I mean, I think you need $20,000 just to start. You know, I don't know if I don't have that kind of credit where I could take out a small business loan to say, all right, I'll take out $100,000 and, you know, fund the station myself for the first year, plus all the equipment we'd probably have to get for each show, and see if we can ultimately generate advertising. Who wants to take that kind of risk? Then I'll be stuck paying back $100,000 for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I believe we looked into it, and it didn't quite work out. Anyway. So this band, Lipstick Magazine, my drummer, Russ, my guitar player, Nat, and my bass player, Mark, are in this band. They hate this band. I don't know why. They've opened for all kinds of 80s luminaries like Winger. They played on stage with Bret Michaels. You know, they're going to the Winter NAMM show. They're getting endorsements. You can buy their CD in fucking Walmart and Target. And, you know, Woodshop writing in, NHB can be in your car. I believe both me and Rico do it through services like Flycast on our iPhones. Well, that's another thing, Andrew, if you're still listening, that maybe we need to kind of promote on the website. That if you want to listen to NHB in your car, this is how to do it. These are the kinds of things that should be on our website. Want NHB in your car, do this. You know, I mean, these are kinds of things that we should be pushing. That's what, and maybe that's where we're going wrong, now that I'm thinking about it. You know, we're all sitting here worried about Stickcam. We need to get NHB radio outside of the computer. Okay? How can you listen on your phone? How can you get NHB in your car? We should have that shit up on the website. Tell me I'm wrong. Because if you can get NHB on your phone, now you're not tied to the computer anymore. And that could be a bit. And if you can get NHB in your car, now anyone in your car is a captive audience. And this is where we should be putting our energy. Not fighting over a chat room in Stickcam. We need to get NHB radio outside of the box. You know? This should be on the website. How can you listen? Well, you can do it on the computer. You can go to Stickcam. You can chat in our chat room. You can listen on your phone. You can listen in your car. You can do this. You can do that. Download our... This should all be on the website in clear type. Andrew's going to fucking hate me. So anyway, back to my original comment here. Lipstick Magazine, like I said, they're getting all these endorsements and all that every time I try to move on. It's all right. Rico writing in, I'm actually in process right now. Wind pooning my iPhone so I can rape the 3G signal to get internet on my car PC for NHB. Okay. And as we all figure these little tricks out, we should be putting them on the website so that other people can do this too. So anyway, this band, Lipstick Magazine, they've been getting all these endorsements and promotions. They played a festival like Rocklahoma. Well, I learned recently that they're going to be playing in Philly on like November 20th or something, opening for Symphony X. Now, I'm like fit to be tied at this point because Andrew's asking me if I want to build the site. Yeah, because I can. That's why I asked you to do it, Andrew. If I was able to do it, I would do it. But I can't. I'm sorry. Fucking A. I'm just trying to get the damn station out there, and this is the kind of shit that pisses me off. You want to build the site? No, I don't want to build the site. I don't know how. If I knew how, I wouldn't have needed webmasters. Fucking Christ. DPS 1207 running in. I listen way more on my phone than I do on my PC. I use Windows Mobile. And Pocket Player. Yeah, I've used that. We should put like demo versions up on the. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I better not make any more fucking suggestions. God forbid I try to help the station. Anyway, so Lipstick Magazine is opening for Symphony X. Now I'm pissed because already they're getting to go to. They're going to NAMM. NAMM is the. Andrew writes in doing my best. I know you're doing your best, Andrew. Okay? I'm doing my best too. I'm not saying it all has to be done today, you know? I'm just saying these are ideas for future. You know, we can implement them as you can, but, you know. Oh my God. So anyway, like I said, these guys are going to NAMM. NAMM is the National Association for Music Merchants in January in Anaheim, California, where you get to see all the new shit that's unveiled before it gets to the music stores months later. I've been wanting to go to the show for years, but it's invite only, okay? Because I'm a huge, I love looking at new gear. I'd love to be able to talk to the manufacturers of these gear and make it known that, hey, I'm blind. I want to be able to use this shit. I'd love to get an endorsement from Yamaha or Korg as a keyboard player because I play, I'd love to be able to go on stage and open up for a band like Winger or Jamie Lane from Warrant or play a festival like Rocklahoma. Jesus Christ. DPS writing in, you all already have a more WAP-friendly site. Go to m.nhbradio.com. Yeah, that's there, and I know we're working on, I know that's going to hopefully be a part of the new site rollout. There'll be a link to that or some redirect, or I don't remember how that's all working out. Anyway, so like I was saying, these guys are getting all of these things that I would kill to get, and I'm not getting. The last gig I played with a band was Memorial Day of 2007, and the last time I played in front of a crowd was on August 22nd when I was staying up at Andrew's house for the week, and we went over to this coffee house for open mic night. That's it. These guys have been playing out since then, and they're getting lots of attention and lots of endorsements. Their albums being distributed in Walmart, and now they're going to open for Symphony X. Now, I played with the bass player from Symphony X. He was the original Queen of the Reich bass player. That was the previous band I was in, and I know the keyboard player. He was one of the sales guys in the recording department at Guitar Center. We used to deal with each other all the time. We'd talk shop and stuff like that. Cloud Paladin writing in, oh, wow, these guys, get that band you and Rich have been talking about forever together and ask if you can play some gigs with them. Well, don't even get me started on that. Rich is not contributing a whole lot there either. Anyway, so, I know those guys. So they're going to end up getting VIP passes because they're the opening band. And, of course, like, I'm sitting... Now their keyboard player, they've been threatening... The guys hate him. They've been threatening to replace him forever. The guy doesn't even play on the black keys from what I'm being told. Like, I have better equipment than him, and I know how to use it. And this is where I should be. Of course, everyone... The three guys that are in this band that I'm in the band with, they hate this music. And they think it's too simple. The other people in the band that aren't in my band are retarded, blah, 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 blah. So for those of you who don't understand what I'm talking about, I'm going to play you their stuff, and I'm going to play you Symphony X and show you how this doesn't fit, okay? This is the title track from Lipstick Magazine's album. It's called Skin Deep, okay? So it'll start up in a moment. One of these days. Here it goes. Now this is Lipstick Magazine, Skin Deep. Okay?
I like the way you move.
There's 2 guitar players, drums, keys, and bass. And you barely hear the keyboard. That's how bad he is.
I like the way you taste. I like you on your knees. I like you hold my face. My love is skin
Okay.
deep. I like it when you swear. You're appetizing to me. When you're on your way down, it's hypnotizing, can't you see?
So you get the idea, right?
My
It doesn't get much more rocking than this, you know?
My love is skin deep. Give me some, give me some.
Alright. I'll play another song here. This is actually one of the ones the guitar player wrote. Okay. Now,
Used to think that happiness
pretty generic rock, okay?
only for me.
Now,
Now I've got some time on my hands. Looking in the mirror, I'm not sure I like what I see.
now I'm just gonna pull out here.
Things I should have told you.
This is, like I said, this is Lipstick Magazine, the opening band. Now this is Symphony X. Yeah, this goes well. This goes like chocolate and peanut butter. You know? This goes like peanut butter and jelly. What the hell? How do you score a gig like that? Now, admittedly, yes, I'm jealous. I'm jealous that some third-rate keyboard player who I can run circles around with 2 fingers has this gig. You know, to get to open for this band. Personally, THD in its half-baked state could do a better job and should be opening for this band. How do you get Skin Deep versus this? I mean, I don't get it. That doesn't make a fucking bit of sense to me. But they're playing. They're playing in front of Symphony X's fans, in front of Symphony X. You know, No, I'm not down with this. So, I'm not happy. Like, I'm kind of annoyed. Like, this is the band that has been kind of part of the reason that THD is not out, because these guys are divided between THD and Lipstick Magazine. And they're getting gigs like this, and I haven't played out in a year and a half. I should be playing out like this, and getting these kinds of gigs and this kind of shit going on. To put this in further perspective, their keyboard player bugged my guitar player, who gave this guy my number. This guy called me after I was ousted, you know, after Queen of the Reich broke up. This guy called me and asked for keyboard advice. Like, he wanted to know what keyboard he should buy. You know, I mean, I don't understand. This just fucking irks me. Someone writing in here, you need 2 guitar players for this shit. He's asking that question. Yeah, apparently they need 2 guitar players for that. Cloud Paladin writing in, all I can hear is vocals, guitar, and drums. They must be with a major label. No, they're not. Although supposedly there's major label interest. Supposedly. Now, if I may, this is, you know, we'll play another song here from Symphony X. Just so you realize this isn't the only thing they do. I played you 2 songs This is from their latest album called Set the World on Fire. Okay? I mean, I don't know. This is what I don't understand. I'm sorry, I really shouldn't be like not. I should not be not talking over this, but
Godlike perfection.
you know,
Reflect in these eyes, reaching for my place with stars on high. Damn the
I just-
betrayers. Through twilight I fall.
I'm not fucking following this.
Blame me not, curse you all. There's no turning back, falling deep into the sweet, collapsing black.
So
Fly with me forever.
So this is Symphony X.
With these wings,
It's off their latest album, Paradise Lost. Set the World on Fire as a track. And they're headlining in Philly on November 22nd. And I'll play another track now from their opening band, Lipstick Magazine. I mean, no. No, this doesn't work. I mean, I just... No. Could you imagine Symphony X? If anyone out there who knows the Symphony X stuff, if you're a fan, write in and tell me what the hell you'd do if you saw these guys take the stage and open for Symphony X. I'm just kind of curious.
Looking at myself to solve this misery. I'm finding
I told the guys, I'm like, you guys are going to get laughed off the fucking stage. Or you'll get that polite golf clap. Super East just writing in meow, meow, meow over and over. I don't know why. Xeon writing, why don't you pull a Megadeth? Start a band with the sole purpose of blowing them out of the water. Yeah, well, Megadeth didn't quite work for Megadeth. Ryan's writing in, you should switch to pop. I'm sure there's a Hannah Montana cover group out there just waiting for you to join them. Ryan, I'd rather suck your dick. No offense. NHB listener 454 writing in, I think Symphony X fans would tear them apart. Smoke and Mirrors is better than anything those guys could ever make. And the sad part is, the lead guitar player, bass player, and drummer could play all that stuff. You're just not hearing it on that CD because, well, the other guitar player and the vocalist and the keyboard player run that band and want everyone to dumb down their playing to this level. Look, this is a means. This would just be a means to an end for me. It'd be a means for me to play out again. I can play this shit with my eyes closed, 5 of my fingers broken with my dick on the keyboard. And it'd be a way to make connections. That's it. I'm not necessarily saying I'd enjoy this, but it'd be fun to just play out. Okay? Meg's writing in, if the chick is hot and I was a drunk guy, I would be happy with the opening act. I don't know if she's hot or not. Peter Slayer writing in, if I heard them opening, I'd choose that time to get mass amounts of booze. Or mass amounts of booze in me. Yeah. Clap Powder writing in, I'd probably throw something at them. Yeah. Folks, if you want to see the band, it's lipstickmagazine.net, and you can also find them on YouTube. Lipstick Magazine. In fact, they have a MySpace page. I don't remember what it is, but I think it's linked from lipstickmagazine.net. You guys can gladly go over there and tell them to get rid of their keyboard player and get a real player like Damon in the band or something. I mean, I really don't care what you do, but because I think that Nat and Mark and Russ would find it immensely funny. So that's pretty much gotten under my skin. Like this fucking idiot has a gig like this, and I'm sitting here on my ass. Matt writing in, Fuck Screenings writing in, if I saw them open for Symphony X, there are two things that spring to mind. Empty water bottle and urine. I think you can gather the rest. Although the last time I saw Symphony X, they were opening for Dream Theater. Did I ever tell you that, Damon? Yes, you did, you limey, ballless prick. And I hope that, I wish that a fucking drum riser would have fallen on your cock. The Priest writing in, okay, so it's really a pussy band opening for a decent violent band, and the openers expect not to get laughed off the stage. Yeah. Well, in all fairness, I mean, let me put this in better perspective for you. Just because I don't want it to seem like, I don't want you guys to get the wrong idea here. All right, let me just play something else here. Okay. Now, the same band, the guitar player, the bass player, and the drummer, and me, we're also in this band. You guys will remember this if you've been listeners to the station. Just ignore the vocalist because he's a douche. Okay? So, I mean, this is more our speed of what we're doing here. And, like, the Lipstick Magazine thing for them is to make the contacts, really. Like I said, ignore the vocalist. Just listen to the music. The Priest writing in, I'm famous for throwing beer bottles at suck-ass opening acts. Now, for the record, this was from the band gig that we opened for a band called Sonata Arctica. Okay? Top Powder writing in, if you're going to a metal show looking for hot chicks, you may be looking in the wrong place. This is true. Because hot chicks, well, that's not always true, but if there's hot chicks there, they're usually taken. Okay, now, okay, so this was my band. This was recorded in 2006. I'll skip into the guitar solo. Okay. As you can hear, we can play. Okay? We don't suck. All right? And we opened for this band. See, this fits. Okay? This fits. We played in front of 800 people. They liked us. They gave me my nickname, for God's sakes. Keyboard guy. Okay? That fits. Lipstick Magazine and Symphony X don't fit. Oh, Matt's being a smartass. Wait, you play any keyboards? When did that happen? Do you have a website like keyboardguy.com or something? Why, yes, Matt, I do. Not that anyone goes there anymore. Fucking the only thing that signs my guest book anymore are fucking spammers. Cloud Paladin writing in, it's kind of hard to ignore the vocalist. He's setting my speakers on fire. Well, it wouldn't be the first time he's done that. Mailman writing in from the chat room, the difference is exponential between the two bands. Why would X play with those tards? Again, it's for the connections. You know? You can live by your principles and be like, I'm only going to play the music I like. Or you can sometimes suck it up a bit. I mean, it's not horrible. You know, look, the Lipstick Magazine stuff, I could play that. I wouldn't want to play it for long, you know? But it'd be a way for me to get out. It'd be a way for me to get out and play. I miss playing out. That might be the other source of my frustration. I'm not getting out and playing. I love playing out. It's a rush. If you're a musician, you'll understand. Okay? So that's kind of pissing me off. You know. And of course, the other thing is politics, which I don't even know if I want to get into that now. Because I mean, yeah, I could sit here and argue on the staff list or the discussion list, or I can start going on about Obama all day or McCain, or I said a lot of stuff on Wednesday's show. But the fact is, folks, that we're fucked. No matter what we do, we're fucked. And, you know, you have on one side, you know, Obama's aunt who's not a legal citizen, and there are people bitching about that, and there's people bitching about McCain. I don't know why it was okay when everyone was digging through McCain's garbage and his dirty diapers looking for fucking shit on him or Palin, but the moment someone starts digging up dirt on Obama, everyone's up in arms. I don't understand that. I mean, if you can sit here and trash the Republican Party for months and months and months, which they've been doing since Palin was announced as McCain's running mate, but the moment we start trashing McCain, people are assholes, you know. I'm sorry, the moment people start trashing Obama, people are assholes. This is wrong. This is, who cares? But, you know, all of a sudden, so I just want to know why it can't be even. And some people have tried to say, oh, well, they're all just bashing McCain, or they're all just bashing Obama, and no one's ever bashed McCain. Maybe you guys haven't been looking at the same headlines I've been looking at, like the MSNBC ones. You know? Personally, I'm not voting for McCain. I'm getting all fucked up is what I'm getting. I'm not voting for Obama. I'm voting for McCain only because facts are facts. I know that none of the other guys are going to win. And I'm at the point right now where I just don't want Obama in there. Is McCain better? You know, I don't know. I've listened to Obama talk and I've listened to McCain talk. And I just feel like McCain is more honest. I'm not saying he's honest. I just think he's more honest. You know? But this country doesn't want to hear the truth anyway. I mean, I'm going to call a spade a spade. This country doesn't want to hear the truth. This country wants to be told that everything's going to be great and we're going to live in a happily ever after. And everyone that basically makes the American people feel good is the one that gets in. No one wants the truth. Everyone wants to live in a fairy tale. Folks, the fairy tale is almost over. I'm not convinced for 1 minute that anyone's going to save this economy. Okay? You're going to slowly watch shit fall downhill. No matter who gets in. The fun time is over. Okay? We're a country that's been living on fake money and credit for way too long anyway. Okay? Most of us are in debt in some form or another. A country cannot live on debt and promissory money. Okay? So, folks, you're all being snowed, okay? The economy's going to crash. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm no expert. This is just my gut feeling. The economy's going to blow up no matter who gets in. And and you know, things haven't gotten bad enough yet because we can still afford our stupid bullshit. To me, this country in a lot of ways resembles the rich kid that gets everything he wants, you know? We're way too rich. We have way too much disposable cash, way too much credit. We can still go out and fucking spend our money on dumb shit like iPhones and iPods and 50 billion computers. I'm no different. I'm sitting in front of a $2,000 mixer, a $1,200 control surface, 2 keyboards worth $2,800 each, 4 computers, one of which was $2,600 to do my recording shit with. I'm no better. I admit that. You know, I order out every day, sometimes twice a day because I don't know how to cook. You know? And I make $30,000 a year, and I live home with my parents rent-free. Some of you will think that that's bad, but you're just jealous because you got to pay rent, and I don't. Cloud Paladin writing in, Damon, it's well known that half the networks are run by Republicans and half are run by the Democrats. If you like McCain, watch Fox News. Watch Fox News more. Look, to me, I don't think we should have a Democrat network and a Republican network. What I was taught in all of my media classes in college is that news was supposed to be unbiased. They're not supposed to slant toward any direction. They're supposed to report the news as it is. They're not supposed to slant it any way. Somewhere that's gone horribly wrong. We should not have a Fox News and a Democratic news. We should have news that reports the news. That's all. Okay? If you're going to dig through McCain's bullshit and uncover shit about him, we should be analyzing all of them. We should be analyzing Obama. We should be analyzing Ron Paul. We should be analyzing every Senate person, Congress person, House of Representative, everyone. These are people in positions of power that are running our country, folks. Why is it that we dissect the president who's a figurehead, folks? He doesn't run this country. He has a part of running the country, but there's also a House of Representatives and Congress and Senate and judiciary branches, state governments, local governments. Why don't we dissect these people? No, we only look at the president. We give this country a false sense that the president is the one that runs this whole place. He's not the king. He's the president. He has a certain amount of power that can be checked by the Senate or the House. And everybody forgets that. Tech Pepsi writing in, I hope this voting thing is over. Try watching TV while honking no on 8 or yes on 8 or anything for that. Holy fuck, dude. I'm not even reading the rest of your message. I don't even know the fuck you're talking about. And no, the voting thing won't be over until Tuesday. So look, guys, I'm not even going to, my personal opinion is that I don't trust Obama. I trust McCain a little bit more, which isn't saying much because I don't trust any of them. I've been accused of being a Republican when I'm an independent. How can I be a Republican when I'm pro-choice? Republicans aren't pro-choice. I'm not a Democrat because I'm pro-gun. Democrats want to take your guns. I'm independent. I'm in the middle. And the only way this country can be run correctly is if you're in the middle and you're not too far to the right or too far to the left. And I'm not saying all my opinions are right, but I got to go with the gut instinct here. What do we really know about Senator Barack Obama? What do we know about him? I know that McCain was a Vietnam vet. He was a prisoner of war. He served our country. From everything I've read about the guy, he's at least trying. He seems to have our best interest at heart to some extent. He's the same guy who tried to tell Fannie Mae and all these other fucking banking financial establishments that got us into the mess we're in right now that this was a bad idea, at least from the things I've read. Is McCain perfect? Probably not. You guys got to remember, too, and I'm surprised that this piece of knowledge always goes out the window come election time. They will say anything to get your vote. They will say anything. Obama, from what I'm hearing, is already starting to backslide. Before, he was going to raise the taxes for everyone making over $250,000. Now the quote I'm hearing is $150,000. Watch that number drop more. Okay? So, folks, no, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know what the hell's going on. You can't believe a word any of them say because right now they're kissing your ass to get your vote. Okay? So, McCain could be full of shit. Obama could be full of shit. Ron Paul could be full of shit. They just want your vote. They will say whatever it takes because the American public in general is too stupid. And all they do, and too lazy. All they do is they watch the mainstream news, which gets slanted one way or another. You're not getting the full story. You can't trust the media because you don't know whose pocket they're in. And the media only wants your purchase. They want you to tune into their channel or buy their paper. That's why they're not unbiased anymore. They sensationalize everything. They blow everything up to make it bigger so that they can sell more papers or get more ratings during their time slot. So I think we're being lied to all the way around by the media, by the candidates, by every last one of them, because none of them are honest. And to be honest with you folks, no one will elect a perfectly honest politician because the American public don't want honesty. They want to be told what the American public wants to hear, that everything's great, everything's good, we're going to change it all, we're going to make it better. They don't want to hear the truth. You guys don't want to hear the truth. I don't want to hear the truth. Let's be honest. I don't want to hear the truth. You know? Who wants to hear we're in deep shit? You know, terrorists are looking to take us out almost every fucking day. Everything from anthrax to chemical warfare to dirty bombs. No one wants to hear about this shit. You know? But it's here. And it may take the economy to fall into the complete shitter and a couple more buildings blowing up, killing thousands of people, and for this thing to be on our soil every day. Keep in mind, folks, the war's in Iraq. It's not in our backyard. We don't have to worry about it. The war's in Iraq, half a globe away. We just hear about it on the news, whatever the news wants to tell us, because they want to make us pro-war or anti-war, so they'll slant it that way. But, folks, if this thing was on our soil, and we had people blowing up buildings all the fucking time and suicide bombing, running into malls and blowing up thousands of people every day, you want to see how fast shit would change? This country would care very quickly. And by then, it could be too late. Rise writing in, unbiased news was common before all news was disseminated through 6 corporate entities. Well, that's true. With people like, what the hell? No, well, that's true. Media is all corporate now. You got Clear Channel on one end, Viacom on another end. There's barely any independent radio anymore. Oh, you have Turner on another end. So yeah, it's all about the bottom line and making money, just like everything else. So we're not being told the truth, and the politicians won't tell us the truth. And even if someone came out and told us the truth, the American public won't accept the truth. Loopy writing in, I don't like either Obama or McCain. I'm going to write in Ron Paul. I want less government. I don't want Obama or McCain. Loopy, sadly, you're not going to get Ron Paul. You're going to get Obama or you're going to get McCain. That's the truth. Insomniac writing in, we dissect the president more so because individual members of Congress are much less autonomous than the president. Their personal stories matter very little as they act as individuals very rarely. That may be true, but look, we have a state senate. I think there's a senator thing going on in the state of New Jersey. Now, I don't know if it's state senator. I have no idea, to be honest with you. But in your state, whoever's running to represent you in the national government, they should dissect that motherfucker hardcore. And you know what? Everyone's going to have skeletons in their closet. Okay? So you got to decide at some point whether something really matters. In the case of Obama, if we took this whole new thing that's come out about his aunt, okay? His aunt is here illegally, okay? All right. If his aunt is here illegally and he hasn't really had a hand in that, okay, then it's his aunt. He is here illegally. But if his aunt is here illegally because of strings he's pulled to keep her here illegally, that I got a problem with. Because he's supporting keeping an illegal citizen here. I think these motherfuckers should be dragged out of here. They're not here legally. The word illegal says it all, folks. And yet our government gives them Social Security that they don't even pay into. Our government has been putting bills on the table to give illegal immigrants amnesty, which essentially just says, okay, we might as well just make them citizens right here and there, even though they're here illegally. Obama wants to give them driver's licenses. Okay? Look, there's a procedure to become a citizen of this country. My great-grandparents underwent that procedure to become citizens. Okay? They became citizens the right way. They came over on the boat, were processed through Ellis Island, went and got a sponsor, and became American citizens the way it was supposed to be done, which is the reason why I'm here. It's the reason why a lot of you motherfuckers are here, because our fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, or whatever did it the way it was supposed to be done. Okay? If you're here illegally, you should not be getting a fucking red cent from us. Okay? You're illegal. You need to be sent back or go through the process the right way. The fact that politicians want to give these people who haven't put into the system a damn thing, things that I work hard for and you work hard for, sickens me. Why? Because they want their votes. It's more votes in their pocket to increase their power base. It has nothing to do with anything more than that. So yeah, if Obama has had a hand in keeping his aunt here illegally by using his power to do so, I've got a serious fucking beef with that. If he hasn't, okay, then he had nothing to do with it. But I'm telling you right now, a senator, he's a senator. He's running for president. You're going to tell me something hasn't gone on to keep his aunt here? I don't know. I don't know about that. I'd have a hard time believing that. Priest writing in, I think no matter who gets elected, we're fucked. But if Obama gets elected, we are super duper fucked. Vote McCain because he's not a nigger. Look, I'm not even going to get into race. Technically, he's not black. He's half black and half white. Some people have said he's Muslim. Some people are saying that there's fucking shit overseas funding him and he's going to fucking side with the terrorists. I don't know what the fuck to think anymore. Rise writing in, no, the fake controversy with the tax issue is that two numbers keep getting used, 250K and 200K. If people would actually listen to the words, they wouldn't be confused and blow it out of proportion. Over 250K will see an increase. Below 200K tax cut. Between the two, will see no change. Rye, do you realize what you're saying here? Do you realize, or for instance, anyone who owns a small business like a limited liability corporation, my brother, okay, owns his own physical therapy clinic in North Carolina. I would guarantee you, because he has to count his LLC income as personal income, he makes $250,000 or more a year, okay? He will be taxed under the Obama plan, as all small businesses will. And that will fuck up, like the small businesses are already not being crunched by the economy. Basically, this guy is just, that's what I was told. Okay? So you're going to see your small business get taxed, which is going to affect jobs. Already I'm seeing headlines about large corporations like Yahoo and some airline, some other places laying off. I'm seeing the layoff headlines. Okay? I'm sorry. Democrat historically has been tax and spend, tax and spend, tax and spend, tax and spend. Okay? Democrat gets into gets into a seat of power, your taxes go up and they spend your money on dumb shit. Okay? And they want to take away your guns. For people who are so-called liberal, they want to take away your guns. They want to make you wear seatbelts. They want to make you wear helmets. They want to fucking, time your shit when you go through an easy pass to see if you're speeding. How are these people liberal? They're anything but liberal. But we won't even go there. Cloud Paladin writing in, I'll settle for just getting a president that can form a sentence and wouldn't make us all look like idiots to the rest of the world for the next 4 years. I got news for you. I've heard Obama stutter. Tech Pepsi writing in, sorry, Damon, but they had people holding signs. They just wanted you to honk to make them happy. What? I'm sorry I read that. Loopy writing in, I still will not support Obama or McCain. They can consider my vote for Ron Paul as my protest against both of them. Obama may not remember each relative's birthday, but I'm sure he's aware of what country they were born in. Well, I don't know. The guy thinks there's 57 states in the country. I mean, that already makes me start wondering. And I have the quote. Peter Slaying writing in, at the beginning, I remember Obama saying something along the lines of, I believe that we should secure our borders, but I also believe in reuniting the families that are already here. Now, knowing his aunt, I find that statement interesting. Look, if you're here illegally, you need to go back. Okay? If they don't want to send them back, at least stop giving them unemployment and Social Security and medical benefits and driver's licenses and amnesty. And no, fucking send them home or make it so that they can't stay here. Rise writing in, I was simply clarifying the confusion. Well, fine, you clarified the confusion, but my point still stands, Rye. You know, and folks, I'm only going to do this for another 20 minutes because I haven't taken a break and I've been talking for 3 hours straight. But, you know, I could sit here and go on an Obama bashing thing, and I'll probably be called a racist for that by some lesser educated human beings. You know? But, I mean, for those of you who are sitting here thinking Obama's the end, and I'm not seeing anyone saying, you know, it's funny because every time I call this out, I don't see anyone saying that Obama's the answer. They're going to vote for him. Some people have even gone so far as to say, well, I don't want another Republican in the White House because we had 8 years of a Republican. So changing the party isn't going to make it any better necessarily. McCain is not Bush. Just because he has R after his name for Republican doesn't mean he's Bush. All Republicans don't toe the Bush line. And, you know, I'm going to even say something else that might piss a few people off. No, I don't think Bush was the worst president we ever had. I don't think he was the best. But I really don't think he's as bad as most people make him out to be. Let's face facts. 9/11 has not happened again. Okay? If you're going to blame Bush for 9/11, you should at least give him the credit for saying, well, we haven't had another attack. And for 6 of his 8 years, the economy was doing pretty damn good. Until the House and Senate turned over. And we got the Democrats in. But everyone thinks the Democrats are doing a great job. I don't know. You know, maybe I'm wrong. But, you know, I don't like any. I don't think the Republicans are the answer either. I think we need another party. The problem is there's no party with enough organization and funding behind them to give the Democrats or the Republicans a run. You're going to get your Ron Pauls who have a little fringe movement going, but they're not making any serious waves. Insomniac writing, and you're right, the idea of classical liberalism is now considered conservative by today's terminology, and republicanism, which is the belief of putting the good of the community at the cost of individualism, is a liberal democratic belief. Weird trend. Look, folks, I personally believe if you don't want to wear a seatbelt, fine. You get into an accident, you fly through the windshield to your death, one person out of the gene pool. I don't think we should put warning labels on shit. I don't think we should force people to wear helmets. I think we should give people the right to own a gun if they want to own a gun to defend their families and their homes. I think if people have an accidental pregnancy, within reason, they should have the choice to go abort the child if they don't think they can raise it. I think we should be able to say whatever the hell we want without fear of ridicule, being called a racist or politically incorrect or being browbeat out of a job because of our beliefs. I mean, we should be able to say under God in the Pledge of Allegiance and have in God we trust. This whole country was founded on the idea of freedom. To be able to say what we want, to be able to print what we want, to be able to believe what we want. And now the shit that's coming down the pike, like stopping Christmas celebrations from happening in public, in businesses and in schools and shit like that, it's the oppression that we were trying to run from 300-something, 200 and some odd years ago. And no one sees it. Look, I'm not going to begrudge a Muslim if he wants to celebrate his fucking his holidays, and a Jew for doing their holidays, an African American for doing their holidays. Let me do mine. I want to say Merry Christmas. I should be able to do that. If you're an atheist and you don't think we should be able to say that, tough fucking noogies. Right, writing in, I wish they would add a none of the above on the ballot. If none of the above wins this majority, then we wipe the slate clean, tell the candidates they can't run, and put in a new stock. You're never going to see that happen. I mean, come on. We live in a country where our fucking congressmen and our politicians can vote themselves pay raises. How the hell did that go through? Since when can you vote yourself a pay raise? I can't vote myself a pay raise. But these people can, and then we pay for it. Isn't that funny? We pay for them to say, we're doing a pretty damn good job. We're going to vote ourselves a pay raise. You pay for it. If you said that to your boss, he'd laugh at you. Cloud Powder writing, and that's silly. We all know there's 55 states. The 50 everyone knows, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Canada, Afghanistan, and Iraq. Wow. That's funny. Insomniac Jazz writing in vote libertarian. Yeah, look, you can all say vote libertarian all day, but you know what? They're not going to win. I wish I knew what the damn Libertarian Party stood for. I mean, personally, let these fuckers into the debate. Let these fuckers, someone let these guys in. Because then you're really going to see shit get scary. Peter Slayer writing in, I agree with you, Damon. Bush really wasn't the worst president. I'd like to give that crown to Kennedy. Nah, Carter was far worse than Kennedy. Carter was far worse. Carter's the reason why illegal immigrants can get Social Security. And Clinton was no prize either. Okay? Now, Reagan, I've said this before. I was a child of the 80s. Reagan kicked ass, man. That guy, granted, he wasn't overly experienced, but that guy didn't take any shit. He came in, he had a feel-good policy. Everybody, he's just, it didn't matter. He would have been a Democrat. I probably would have felt the same way. Something about the guy just was like, you just felt good listening to him talk. And a lot of people maybe are getting sucked in by Obama the same way, but I don't get that feeling from him than I get when, now granted, I was a little kid, but if I go back and you read up on Reagan, and I read an article about Reagan, he wasn't your average everyday politician. And for a little while, he made you feel like you could believe in the government. Again, that's what I read. Zian writing in, actually McCain ripped the shit out of the Bush cabinet when he spearheaded the investigation into the war crimes in Iraq. Well, look, I don't know much about that, but the thing is, I would respect a guy who speaks out against his party when the party's wrong. You got to look, I really feel like, from the things I've read about McCain, they all say that, he's put a whole bunch of things before his own career. Do I believe that? Even Obama. Obama has done good things. He's done community service and whatnot. I'm not saying the guy's a complete ass, but something in my head just tells me I wonder where his loyalties lie. Is he gonna side? Where is he? Where does he stand on people as being people? The problem with these damn politicians and people in general is we're still separating color lines. Who cares if someone's black, Muslim, Mexican, Puerto Rican, white, Italian, Indian? I don't care. We're all people here. We're supposed to be the same. But as long as you keep the races separate and fighting amongst themselves, everyone's too distracted with that to see things for what they really are. So as long as we're still hating blacks and blacks hating Puerto Ricans and Puerto Ricans hating Muslims and Muslims hating Mexicans, as long as that's still going on, the politicians will just be like, all right, they're all fighting amongst ourselves. We're going to go into the cookie jar here and just start fucking around. And Obama, for all we know, might favor the Muslims, might favor the blacks. We don't know. We don't know what really is going on in that man's head. Or McCain's, for that matter. But I'll say this, McCain served his country. He went over and fought in Vietnam, was a prisoner of war for years, endured torture, came back. You know, I mean, I can at least respect that. Personally, I think you shouldn't be president unless you've served. You're the commander-in-chief of the army. You should have been in that army. You know, someone like Clinton or even Bush. Did Bush serve in the army? I don't think he did. You know, if you're going to send our boys off to war, you should at least have been in those trenches. Okay? To know what you're sending people into. I think it's really funny that our politicians, and this is for any country, politicians will be the first one to send their armies off to fight their fight. Okay? Is this our fight? Whatever war we're in, Vietnam wasn't our fight. We didn't start that. It's basically, if you break this down, two people on the schoolyard calling each other names, and instead of taking it outside and fighting amongst, fighting it out themselves, they send their fucking boys in to do it. Look, if you're willing to declare a war, I personally think you should strap the gun on yourself and be on the lines fighting that war. Stop sending other people to fight your fight, you know? But, I mean, keep in mind, we're fighting a country we're fighting a way of life where their extremists believe in flying planes into buildings and killing 3,500 civilians. Everyone's forgotten about that. 9/11 is now like, oh, 9/11, you know. I don't see too many people who really care anymore. 3,500 people or more lost their lives. Hundreds or thousands more are sick from breathing asbestos from falling buildings. Thousands of families fucked up. Businesses screwed up. Because some extremist asshole can't fight his own fight. That's what it boils down to. And we're such a spoiled brat country that 7 years after the fact, it's like, who the fuck cares? No one cares. You know? I live like 30 minutes away from Manhattan on a train. You know? And I'm sorry, I just find it odd that two planes took out a building with thousands of people in it, killing everyone on board the plane. All those planes, including the ones that hit the Pentagon, the one that was shot down or crashed on its own, whatever story you want to believe. And it's like, now who cares? You know, we shouldn't be over in Iraq. We shouldn't be doing it. We should just come back here and let the Muslim extremists organize themselves to try again. I don't know. Maybe I'm full of shit. Rise yelling at me, oh my God, you're going to pull the 9/11 hasn't happened again bullshit. That's like saying global warming is on the rise because the ice age hasn't happened again. Well, you know what, Ryan? I can only go by the fact that no one else has tried. In fact, many terrorist attacks have been thwarted. Okay? So yeah, I am going to pull that. I guarantee you, though, if Obama gets in, and maybe McCain, look, whoever gets in next, they're going to try. They're going to try just to see what the next president does. And if they do succeed in hitting us somewhere, I hope that the next president, whoever that is, strikes hard and fast. But I'm telling you, one of them won't. And if they don't, we are in deep shit. Wanted writing in, I'm a gunsmith. If Obama gets in, I'm out of a job. Probably. Of course, I can see a message coming in if McCain gets in. I'm an abortion doctor, and if McCain gets in, I'll be out of a job. So it can go either way. Insomniac writing in, libertarian equals less government. Yeah, well, you're never going to see that happen. You'll never see a libertarian get in. I'd like to see a libertarian get in. But you're not going to see it in this lifetime. Because they won't let them into the debates. If you don't get into the debates, folks, how do you win an election? Loopy's writing in Liberty. That's what they believe in. Keep your guns, localize almost all taxes and government, everything run and decided state by state. Well, I think you need a federal government to some point, but I think it's just gotten a little out of hand. I understand people think that a black guy running for president is considered progress, but here in our town it has been said that if Obama is not elected, there will be blood in the streets within days. On the other side, there have been threats to blow up the First Coast High School if Obama wins. Now, what is blowing up a high school going to do? I mean, high school people can't even vote. Why would you blow up a high school? And then she writes in, there is no winner in that. Look, there's no winner in no matter what. Because what happens is if the black guy gets in, he's going to be spending 4 years dodging bullets. Okay? And if McCain gets in, you're going to have a race of black people who are going to find ways to say it's discrimination or are going to be more resentful because the black guy didn't get in. Look, guys, I'm not saying that a black guy shouldn't get in as president. Okay? But to vote for someone because they're black is wrong. Okay? Vote for someone because he can do the job. But this is the culture we fostered through things like affirmative action. Oh, we should let him in because he's black and we need to fill a quota. Yeah, I'm a part of that. I'm disabled. Sometimes, I could get hired for a job just because they need to fill a quota. Look, I don't want to be hired to fill a quota. I want to be hired because I'm the right man for the job. But some people don't see things that way. They want to be a quota. Maybe it's the only way they can get a job is to be a quota. Maybe I'm old-fashioned like that. I believe you should get rewards in life because you deserve them, because you work to obtain them. Not because you're owed it because you live in the freest country in the world and you're a minority. I'm a minority too. I'm disabled. Okay? But I don't expect people to give me shit because I'm disabled. You work for your shit like everyone else. Zeon writing in, the only army Bush served in was the KISS Army. No, I don't even think he served in that. Clap Powder writing in, we're not fighting for 9/11, Damon. It has nothing to do with Iraq. We haven't fought terrorists for years. How do you know? All we're fighting is people whose nation we invaded doing the same thing. We'd do if someone invaded us. Well, I don't know. I've heard everything from we're fighting for oil, and everyone knew there was no weapons of mass destruction going in. No, you know what? Here's the deal, guys, with the weapons of mass destruction thing. When we had the sanctions on Hussein, and the UN went soft on Hussein, and we wanted to do the inspections, and Hussein kept saying no, and the UN kept trying to negotiate, Hussein was taking his time to move his weapons of mass destruction into Syria or some other neighboring country who's holding on to them. The fact that we ripped Hussein out of there, now these guys are sitting on his weapons probably, but there were weapons there. Otherwise, why would he not let us in? Everyone seems to have forgotten that part. Okay, he would not let us in. We sanctioned his ass because he had weapons of mass destruction in the first place. Okay, we sanctioned his ass. He would not let us in. Okay, because he was working on more weapons of mass destruction. Now everyone goes in there and says, oh, we never found anything. Yes, because if we would have gone in there when we were supposed to originally go in there, mark my words, folks, you would have found tons of shit. But he had plenty of time to move his shit. Okay? And if you think I'm wrong, trust me, I don't think I am. I'd like you to prove me wrong. Just because we went in there and didn't find anything, did everybody remember that we were fighting that fucker for how many months before we actually went in there to get in there sooner? That was the whole reason we invaded in the first place. At least that's the way my memory says it. Right, writing in, we shouldn't be in Iraq. We should be in Afghanistan where Osama calls home. Not in a country getting revenge for an assassination attempt on GW's daddy. There was never an assassination attempt on Bush Sr. And yeah, we should be in Afghanistan. I thought we were. Zeon writing in, shouldn't we be getting the terrorists in our country that are, say, blowing up high schools? Yes, we should be getting them too. But I don't think they're the same terrorists. Insomniac writing in, America could use more people with opinions like yours, Damon. Man, that's scary to say out loud. Yeah, I know. I agree. But see, I'll never get elected to any public office because no one wants to listen to what I have to say. Folks, I have been talking for 3 hours. And I can't, there's really nothing more to say than what I've just said. So, if you don't mind, I think I've gotten it all out of my system. Outside of the fact that I'll be waking up tomorrow and doing technical support for a new product release where I'll be getting calls out of my ass for people to be assisted with things that they should be able to do on their own. And I just don't understand where the initiative has gone for people to help themselves. And why it is that I have to sit and kiss everybody's ass instead of being able to say out loud, you are too stupid to use a computer. Because it's the truth. But, you know, that's my problem. That's my job. And if I was able to get out of customer service and technical support, I wouldn't be doing it anymore. But I need a job, so I have to kiss ass. And it takes a lot of energy to go against my natural instinct and kiss customers' ass to keep my job. But that's what you have to do in life. I'm not proud of it, but I need a job. I need to work to pay my bills, so I do it. That's why they call it work and not fun. Cloud writing in, if Hussein did have weapons, why didn't Bush let the weapons inspectors finish before attacking? Cloud, come on. The weapons inspectors, first of all, they wouldn't let the weapons inspectors in, remember? The UN wanted to handle this diplomatically. So while the UN was trying to handle it diplomatically, the moment he said, no, you're not coming in, we should have went in anyway. You gave him time to move shit across the border. What do you think he was doing while he was telling us no, 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 no? Come on. If he had no weapons of mass destruction, there wouldn't have been any reason for him to say no. He was making them. We were coming to inspect. He needed time to move them out. Okay? Common sense. Why would he say no if there were no weapons of mass destruction? Why? If he wanted to cooperate. And folks, this guy was gassing his own people and all that other fucking horse shit. You know? I mean, he needed to be taken out back in 90. We should have fucking crossed the border and took him out in 90. Anyway. Well, Ravs enjoyed the show. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. And I appreciate all of you, all 60 of you now. We were up to 72 at one point. I appreciate all of you guys letting me come on and vent. Tune in. I think tomorrow is an on week for PTR. Every Monday should be an on week for PTR, but I have no control over that. 30-pointer writing in nuclear weapons are a little like porn. The UN is the mom coming in to find whatever the U.S. gave to its cousin. Well, true. I mean, to some extent, we did help out Iraq, 10 years earlier in that little Iran-Iraq war? Which doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, some of the things that we do foreign policy-wise, I just don't quite understand. You know? But see, that's the gratitude of the rest of the world. We help them out, and then 10 years later, they fuck us in the ass. You know? That's why I just don't think we should help any of these fucking countries out. We should pull all our support. You know, and let them all stand and fall on their own. Why do we have to bail out the rest of the world? We came up from nothing in 1776. There's a reason why we became the number one superpower. It wasn't because we took over the world. It's because we built a country that became a superpower. And then somewhere along the line, we felt the need to help everyone else. I say fuck it, you know? We should bring all the manufacturing back to this country and stop relying on outside sources to build our electronics and cars and shit. We should bring the factories back here. We should take the jobs, the technical support jobs out of India and bring them back here. Because let's face facts, folks. Nobody wants to call for technical support and get an Indian who could barely speak the English language. No one wants to do that. But they do it. Because it helps the corporation bottom line. Fuck that. Bring all that shit back here where it belongs. And we should be self-sufficient. And let the rest of the world stand and fall on its own. Including our oil. Then you won't see your gas prices at $4 a gallon. Rise writing in, I don't know if I follow this message. We're America. We run the world. You either let the inspectors in or we will come in ourselves because we're America and we think our dick is bigger than yours. Well, look, Rye, look, the UN are a bunch of pussies. I believe that with my heart. And I don't think what have they done lately that's any good? You allow a maniac time to move his weapons over the fucking... No one's addressed that point. Rye's still going on about how we just think that we have bigger dicks. No. It's called we went in to do an inspection. They told the UN no. If the UN had a set of balls, the UN would have been like, fuck you, we're coming in. But no, they don't. So you gave this maniac time to move his weapons and time to prepare. You don't let someone who's been sanctioned tell you what to do. We sanctioned them because they're a danger. This guy's a fucking head case. He should not be running the fucking board. That's what I don't understand about some of you people. Wadib writing in, we would have jobs here if the unions didn't ruin it. Did the unions really ruin it, though? The unions were created because employers were being unfair to their employees. That was the whole reason behind a union in the first place. Granted, like anything else that was made here, it went too far. But outsourcing everything out of the fucking country isn't the answer either. So, what the fuck do I know? I'm just some idiot broadcaster. But hey, it's my opinion, and I can still say my opinion, at least for now. But that's it, guys. I can't do anymore. I appreciate you all tuning in. Tune in tomorrow at 8 or 9. No, tune in tomorrow at 6 for Hot Summer Sheep. They should be going on. I don't know. Maybe they're not. 9 o'clock is either PTR or a rerun. Who the hell knows? On Tuesday at 9 is the Pussy Show with Pussy, Addie, and Gabe. I mean... Right now, if I out of any of those two, I respect Gabe. At least Gabe doesn't say shit and then pussy out on it. So it's the Pussy and Gabe show. Wednesday will be another episode of No Holds Barred Radio. This coming Thursday at 6 will be the last Shadows of Doubt for a little while. Followed at 8 by Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. Friday at 8 is Take It or Leave It Radio. Saturday at 6 is ADHD Radio, followed at 8 by The Last Production, which will also be the last production for a little while. Sunday at 3 is the Amateur Hour with Johnny Gators. Dune, I believe, is still on hiatus. And a few other program notes, folks. This Tuesday, 10 a.m., the Outlander Commission, brand new show, Kevin Reeves and Ian Baird. If you listened last Friday, they did a little Halloween special. What I heard of it was cool. But this Tuesday at 10, they're premiering, and they'll be running every week. Also, around the end of November, November 30th, which is a Sunday, I believe, is going to be hopefully the return of Dune and Bob, and also Shadows of Doubt on its new day and time, Sundays from 8 to 10, starting November 30th, and then the following Saturday will be the return of The Last Production. So this will be the last week of Shadows of Doubt and The Last Production for a little while. And, of course, don't miss the Outlander Commission. Check out NHBRadio.com, folks, please. It's our site. We work hard. Check out the site. Look at the chat room. Join the mailing list. That chat room is up 24/7, by the way, guys. Thank you all for all your opinions. Maybe I'll do this again next month or whatever. As, you know, we try to get feedback from the listeners. Seems to be the best way to do it. We appreciate all your support. Tune in to Automation, and just, like I said, we're a website. We're a radio station. Take advantage of everything we got here. Thank you for listening. See you guys soon.